3, 2, 1.
Oh God! Somebody do something! Why are they doing this? They're just taking Indiana Jones and they're raping him. I can't watch. Why would Spielberg and Lucas do this? Come on, let's go. Why are they doing this? Just run.
Wow, what a great
Hi,
way
welcome.
welcome to Campy Cast.
Welcome to
I'm
Campy
Anthony.
I'm Brian, and today we have a very special guest.
A very special
Some of you
guest.
might know him as the man behind the Batman fan art controversy, a bunch of other famous incidents.
James Gunn Schilling.
Yeah, that's a big one. Please welcome ACritic.
Hello, ACritic. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, it's great to be here. I've heard wondrous things about Campy Cast.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah, we got another big video today, big episode. We got 5 movies to dissect. And today, we're going in depth on the Indiana Jones franchise. In fact, I haven't watched all of these movies till now. I mean, I saw the first 2 like a couple years ago, but it's only till like now where I actually have started to watch all of them. So I finally did that.
I believe, I think I'd seen them all in like 2021, I want to say, but I haven't rewatched any of them since now. And this new one's been out for like 2 months.
We actually planned on doing this episode earlier, but we had other ideas, new films and whatnot. So like we just kind of delayed it, and it was originally just supposed to be me and Brian for this one, but then ACritic was a huge fan of the movies, and we thought this was a good opportunity for him to come on the podcast. So yeah, that's why he's joining us today, and recently watched all of them, and it was a cool experience to finally. I wanted to watch all of these movies for the longest time. But and finally getting to them for an episode, I think was good. It was good. The new one came out. Harrison Ford's in his 80s now, and still new one. But we'll get more into that later when we get into the 5th movie, which is near the end of the episode. But I mean, we already did a 5-movie guest. I mean, we already did a franchise with 5 movies with a guest with Davis.
We did Bayformers, remember?
Yeah, so we're doing that again. This time with Indiana Jones. Both have Shia LaBeouf in them at some point too.
Oh, that's true.
And both of them die off screen in the 5th film.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway.
Shout out to everyone, by the way. I don't know if we ever mentioned it, but that Bayformers episode really popped off. Everyone loved that one.
Yeah.
Appreciate
good
all
old
the support.
Good old Danis.
Yeah.
Anyways, spoilers for all of them. Just all of them. Even especially the new one, which is still in theaters at the moment, but spoilers for all of them. We're just gonna spoil everything. So
if you haven't seen these films, you're a sucker. But if you've seen the 5th one, then you are genuinely a sucker.
If you've just seen the 5th one, like imagine that. Like not the other one, just the 5th one. Anyways, let's just get into it. Let's just jump into it, as you could say, with the very first film. Raiders of the Lost Ark, the start of it all. What do you guys think of Raiders of the Lost Ark?
It's a great movie.
It's great.
It's not the best Indiana Jones movie.
I love this. This is a great movie that I think I hold a lot of respect for, and I could definitely understand why so many people love it. But it never really was something that I thought was like. I always loved it. It's a great movie. I definitely understand the appeal and why so many people love it. I don't know if I would I just don't think it's like a masterpiece in my eyes. It's a great movie. I definitely enjoyed myself watching it. But yeah, it's a great movie. Great start to this iconic character. And it has aged really well, especially visually.
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess. What about you, ACritic?
Yeah, what did you think of? Yeah, I know you seem to feel really passionate about this movie.
What do I think of Raiders of the Lost Ark? It's the best one of the 5.
Favorite?
Oh, well. I have a major disagreement on that.
It's
everyone just. I don't know anybody who says Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best one. It's just me.
Really?
For me, it's always either Raiders or Last Crusade. We'll get into it.
Last Crusade. Everyone always says the best one is Last Crusade. That's the one I always hear.
No one says Temple of Doom, though. Poor Temple of Doom.
Except for Xander.
Okay, well,
Good
yeah.
old
But
Xander.
Xander. He
Yeah.
has weird takes.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. This is probably just like, I know this goes without saying for like all of these, but the action like is phenomenal and is a huge part of like what makes this movie so entertaining. And it's like it's just that it has some of the funnest action set pieces I've seen in a
Oh yeah,
movie, and
100%.
especially for its time in 1981. And we'll get to that ending later, where like the visual effects just look has aged perfectly. I swear it looks better than so many modern movies today. Like it is so
Oh
impressive.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They do a very good job at giving you a good first impression of everything. Because that whole opening scene, right? The boulder, the
A
big chase, and
boulder,
all that.
yes, that is a great
That's like an
introduction.
iconic film scene. But no, it's for a reason. They do a really good job of introducing the character to you. Because they don't like. There's no exposition. Not like Indiana Jones is this. He's an archaeologist. No, they just show you all that. And it's a really good opening scene. That set
It is
piece
the
of
the first 10 minutes of that film is amazing.
It is a great
Yeah,
introduction to
definitely.
everything, with Indy and the titular Indiana Jones and Alfred Molina trying to steal this ancient mysterious relic. And then, we see him like Alfred Molina betray him and whatnot. We see him get chased down by a boulder, nearly die. It's a great like first action set piece to introduce you to this character and what he's capable of. And it definitely settles you in for the rest of the movie. It's a great introduction
Yeah.
to everything, and it is one of the most iconic set pieces of these movies for a reason.
I'd argue the most iconic because the boulder and everything.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great
Yeah.
scene.
It was even
And
referenced.
it's not even like
Films like Chicken
it's
Little.
not even
and whatnot.
connected. Oh yeah. It's
Yeah.
not even connected to the rest of the plot. That's the neat thing too. Just a nice isolated like opening that sets up the tone and characters and
Yeah.
everything.
Mhm. It's a
Great
fun. It
little
even
thing.
establishes Indy's rival in this movie, Belloc, who is a great antagonist, and I think works really well. Um, this movie has like a lot. This movie has like three antagonists, and I feel like they all have their own like pizzazz to them that makes you enjoy them in some way, which is what I like about them.
Mhm.
Like you got the main one, Belloc, who's Indy's rival. You got the Colonel, who works for the Nazis, for Hitler, who is
You got
more.
the snakes.
You got the snakes, yeah. Don't forget the snakes.
Greatest antagonist.
Yeah, I like how they introduced that into the movie.
He's
Like one of the best parts is like when he's on the plane and he sees the snakes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great running gag.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like all that stuff. I also like the other guy. What was his name? Major Todd, according to Letterboxd. Yeah,
You talk.
Yeah.
Yep, that's him.
yeah, him. Yeah, he's a great villain as well. Even he's just kind of there's just something so intimidating and freaky about him in the way like performances are great in this movie. Like
Oh yeah,
Harrison Ford
definitely.
definitely for the time, obviously. Over time it like gets a little worse, but in this one, he has this pizzazz and passion in his character that makes you enjoy him. So like,
Yeah.
he's a fun character.
Yeah, he's just extremely cool and smooth, and you're like, ooh, I kind of like him. I dig his vibe. He's just cool.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah, exactly.
it's hard not to enjoy him in some way. He doesn't have like a compelling, like the most compelling arc, but but he's a likable character nonetheless that works really well for the story they're telling. So
Yeah.
yeah, it works.
And also unlike Star Wars, Harrison Ford does not hate the character he's playing. So that's another plus. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reason why he doesn't like Han Solo is because that's all anyone associates him with.
Yeah, no, that's the main thing. They have to. I think that's why they wanted to kill him off in Return of the Jedi, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then even
Well,
after
he
they
wanted him to
actually-
be killed off.
Yeah, and then after they actually killed him off, he came back again. So well,
At least he never.
stuck his Han Solo forever.
Yeah, that's what he's
boy.
going to be known for. It's either Indiana Jones or Han Solo.
Yeah.
So,
I think he has
Blade
more.
Runner. Or Blade Runner.
Blade
yeah,
Runner,
yeah,
that
yeah,
too.
Blade
I haven't
Runner.
seen those movies yet, by the way. But yeah, those three are his most iconic roles. So
Yeah.
yeah, and bit too iconic, you know. I mean, they're just going to continue making these movies. The only reason Indiana Jones 5 was made is because, guys, Harrison Ford is still alive. We have to make this movie as soon as possible before he croaks.
And we've used every single other IP under our name. We are Indiana Jones. We'll do that. We can't do Star Wars. We definitely can't do Willow anymore. Gotta do Indiana Jones now. That's the last one.
It's funny.
If we don't do it, we're fucked.
But then no one watched it. So good job, guys. It worked out very well.
I mean, some people watched it.
Yeah.
I watched it.
I didn't watch it in theaters.
I did. I was there opening day.
Oh shit.
Oh,
Anyways, back to this movie.
I'm so sorry.
Still a great movie. I think this might be the one I'm like. I think I might have the least to say about this one, but it's still like.
I have the least to say about the fifth one, but we'll get there. But yeah, I don't know. Out of the original three, this is the one I'm least passionate about. But no, it's very, very solid action adventure story. I guess it's definitely like it makes sense why it was such a big like hit. It's like so Star Wars was like the big movie, that and Jaws that created the big blockbuster type thing. But I'd say this is like another one of the first really, really big action movies. And you know, say what you want about Spielberg, he has a couple weird movies like the BFG or whatever. But now he knows how to make a big crowd pleasing move. If he can do anything, he can make a giant crowd pleasing thing. And yeah, for one of his this is one of his first movies, I believe. So yeah, no, it's a great first go. Jolly old.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff here. I guess we could talk about some specifics in certain scenes in the movie. Like, I really like the scene where how they introduce the character of Marion, who
Oh yeah, that part's great.
Yeah, that's a great part. I really like I like their interactions. I think there's definitely a spunk and likable attitude to her that makes their interactions engaging throughout it.
Yeah, she's just fun character.
Yeah, she's a fun character. I really like the scene at the bar, Fault of Fire and whatnot. And this goes without saying, but the score with this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing else really needs to be said about the score. It's John Williams.
Yeah, the main theme is like iconic for a reason, you know. It's great.
That's why they blasted it throughout the entirety of the fifth trailer to say, "Hey guys, this is an Indiana Jones movie. You guys have to see it. You see, it's the theme."
Indiana Jones, don't you know?
Yeah, exactly.
I remember Indiana Jones. Yeah.
But even outside of the main theme, all the rest of the score, like I can hum all of it, like the arc theme, the arc theme, or there's the music that plays when Indy chases for the arc.
Yeah, there's that.
All of it's good. I can hum all of it. I can't hum anything from the fifth film except the main theme.
Were there original songs?
I was too
from the
bored
fifth
to
film?
hum for the fifth film.
It's a genuine question. I don't even know.
I don't know. Sometimes, like with movies, I just don't 100% pay attention to the score. So, like, I'm not 100% sure if they reused certain things or not. That's like a whole thing for me. But
I mean,
gone.
Oh right. I could say what I picked up on in the fifth film is that they reuse the main theme and then they reuse Indy and Marion's theme, which is suspiciously familiar to the Han and Leia theme from Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I noticed that.
I always think about that. But outside of that, I think that's the only two they reuse. I think everything else is original. But I can't remember.
If it was original, I wouldn't have picked up on it because it was boring. But, oh well.
Anyways, we're getting carried away to late on in the video, but as of like. Yeah, I mean, we know what we need to know about Indy. We know he's scared of snakes. We know that. I love the scene in the snake pit when they're locked down in the location of the Ark. That's a great scene with Marion also being stuck there. And then Marion ends up encountering a bunch of dead bodies, and you see a snake going through one of the skulls. Like, damn, this is some cool ass imagery.
Bit. Yeah, that bit still is just like so like disgusting to me. Even today, it's just ugh.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
Her reaction is also pretty is also nice. You know, the funny reaction to it all. But like, yeah, obviously someone would act like that if you were in that situation. And
you like screaming women. Just wait till we get to the second one.
Oh boy!
God! That's like the entire movie. I mean, a good portion of it. Anyways, yeah, a lot of good interactions. I really like the stuff with the antagonists and the disagreements between Belloc and the Colonel. I like all those interactions. You know, I like seeing villains butt heads with each other in movies. I think it works well here. That's what I
Yeah.
like.
What I like about Belloc is that he's not evil like the other two. He's just sort of
He just wants to discover history. You know.
yeah.
He's doing his job, you know.
Yeah. I mean, he's
But-
much more crueler than Indy is, which is kind of an interesting contrast for an antagonist, which I think works
And
well.
also he's siding with the Nazis. He's getting them to do his thing for him.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
He's teaming up with the Nazis. Like, you see, he's dedicated to his job. That's what makes him interesting, you know? He's very dedicated, you know? I'll give him that. I really love one of the funniest scenes in this movie is like there's a lot of great moments, such as the scene. One of my favorite action scenes is the scene where Marion gets stuck in one of those like basket things, and then there's like a fake out death with her.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh, that part's great. Oh no, there's another part close to that, which is it's I think the funniest bit in the movie where the guy he has like a sword or whatever.
Oh my god, I love that.
Oh yeah.
And then Indy just pulls out the gun and shoots him.
Yeah, that's so fun. That was funny. I love it. I love that part. That part threw me off guard, but I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie has some good instances of humor just coming off of the interactions with Indy and other characters. As
I
well.
think that's the only time he uses a gun though. So
Yeah, and
he
interesting.
should shoot more than Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
but-
he sticks to his sacred whip. That's what he sticks to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
obviously. It's
Yeah.
an iconic weapon. So yeah, we have that. Yeah, there's a lot of good scenes. That entire segment with the basket was also just really fun with them running it throughout the city and whatnot, the town of it. But yeah, and I also think they built up tension really well in these scenes, just through the score and just the action set pieces and whatnot. And I feel like just how this all ends up building up to the mysterious lost arc that the movie continues to tease throughout it. The true mysteries with the Ten Commandments and whatnot, what it holds.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
And then the
it
payoff where they melt some guys' faces off. That's it's a good way of paying that off. Like, because you're waiting the entire movie, or what's gonna happen with the arc or whatever, and then like when they actually pay that off and that happens, the great little bit at the end there.
Yeah. It's such
Visuals kind of horrifying, but you know.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk
great.
about that. That is that scene, those scene though. That's like a main thing that I feel like people would associate with.
Close your eyes, Marion.
Yeah, that's like probably my favorite scene in the movie because like not only
Don't open your eyes.
Yeah, I like how that scene is just like great because not only does the visuals have aged great, and I feel like when I first saw this movie, I was younger when I first saw it. It was a couple of years ago. I remember being like so shocked by seeing that because going into this movie when I first watched it like 3 or 4 years ago, I knew barely anything, so I was actually kind of shocked when we get the faces blowing up, the face melting of each of them, while one of the villains, Major Todd, just starts laughing maniacally while the arc is open, and then you see all three villains get their comeuppance, you know, kind of teaching the lesson that some history is left, you know, less just undiscovered, you know, left in the past.
Yeah. See,
what happens when you try to use this religious artifact to make Hitler powerful? Don't be doing that.
Yeah. See, that's another thing. You wouldn't expect any of that because nowadays people are like, they market it as like a fun family movie for everyone. You could show your 8-year-old this, but then you watch it and it's like, oh no, this has like people's faces melting off. The guy gets chopped up by propeller blades. It's
I saw it when I was 8.
Damn.
Yeah.
I wasn't even that young when
it's
I first saw
PG,
it.
you know. But we'll get into that with Temple of Doom because, oh boy. But, yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole thing.
As long as you're not a pussy, you can enjoy this.
You notice
Well,
we've
you get
been
afraid
like
of little blood.
Yeah, we've been kind of bringing up a lot of like the impact this movie had and like how And it's like it's a huge movie. It's like it's one of the most Indiana Jones himself is just some of the most one of the
Yeah.
most iconic movie characters. So of course
Yeah.
they're gonna make a shitty legacy sequel,
Yeah.
in 2023.
Oh, definitely. But
We still
you know,
have
also,
Harrison Ford is still alive after all.
oh well.
Anyways, but
Surprised he's not on the old folks' home yet.
yeah.
But
He's
what are
still
you
doing
gonna
this
do?
because you can tell there's so much action in this movie that like he could never do today. He could never run away from that boulder. He can never do stunts like this anymore. Like, come on.
Oh, they try. Oh boy, they try.
Yeah,
But
Get the stuntman out.
yeah. Just grab the
Aw,
stuntman, get someone to
that's
look
the-
like Harrison Ford, and use that. I guess just do that.
aw. You can
Make sure we don't see his
de-age him,
face though, so
too.
no one can tell it's not
Yeah.
actually Harrison Ford.
I picked up on it, but
Yeah, it's just like
eh.
a blast. It has pretty much like I can't really see. There's like I'm just like I think it's a great movie. I still don't think it's amazing still, but I still think
Wow.
it's a greatly enjoyable
Right.
movie that I respect a lot, and it's still like a fun movie
Yeah.
to revisit. You know, it has like
Yeah.
a lot of good stuff you would expect in an action movie. It's a likable lead with a lot
Mhm.
he has fun traits. He has fun interactions with other characters, and it has just a fun cast of villains, some great action set pieces, and
Hmm.
just a fun movie. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
hard to
fun.
hate, you
I
know.
love fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I had some other stuff to
Uh,
say.
Got any
Um,
more quick notes? Or
I
any
would like
other?
to say more. There's more
Yeah.
stuff, I'd say. But I
Mhm.
like how, like I said, the whole thing with like the arc scene is just like it's like such a shock in terms of visuals and just leads you on the sheet. It still makes me like even though I knew it was coming, it just like worked. It just made me like much more shocked and surprised this time around, and I was just more impacted
Oh
by
yeah.
it. Even like before, and when I first saw this movie, I remember liking it, but I don't really remember loving it. And while I still don't think it's amazing, I still definitely respect it and enjoy it a lot more than I remember.
Yeah, definitely.
Holds
I
up
do kind
more.
of want to know how, like, I wish I knew some of the behind the scenes of this movie because I want to know how they did that, like, the face melting effect and some of that.
Oh,
It all
I think
looks
some
really
of it.
cool.
I think it might be stop motion they did, although I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know though.
Just the way
But-
they like tease that type of stuff, like how with like I said in the opening with Alfred Molina like dying and then you see his dead body and whatnot, like damn.
Oh, that actually traumatized me more than the opening of the arc.
Really?
Well, it's at the very beginning, you don't have time to process that.
Yeah, that's just the start of it all. That's what's interesting about it.
There's no build up. It's just wow, and there's like stuff
Yeah.
like poking out of his
Yeah.
neck and his blood. It's like,
Karma.
oh no.
That's karma.
See,
all around.
Marvel movies don't have shit like this. They don't have the balls anymore. But
Yeah.
no,
Guardians 3 had some of that.
wow. Of course, you brought up Guardians 3. You fucking gun.
You talk. Hey, come on! The High Evolutionary gets his fucking face peeled off,
Well,
and
That's true.
Oh, he
and then
does. Oh, I never watched it.
there's another guy who gets like disintegrated in his chair. You can see the skeleton and all the melted stuff as well. That happens in the film as well.
I like
I'll take your word for that.
I like the
Good.
scene on the truck during the climax with Indy just fighting this guy driving with the arc and whatnot. That's a fun scene, you know.
Yeah,
Yes.
the truck chase is the scene I always look forward to whenever I rewatch it. I'm like, oh yeah, here comes the truck
There it
scene.
goes. A lot of great scenes in
Yeah.
this movie that I feel like it's just like I will remember for ages, you know. Just a lot of fun stuff in this movie. I wish you could
Do you
say
guys
more.
have any?
Mhm.
I think I have some more to say. I
You guys have any
I have some more
criticisms of the
stuff,
film?
but they're more
criticisms.
issue.
I don't think I have like any like large criticisms that like piss off my enjoyment. I guess, but it's mostly just a film that like I always enjoyed it, but I never thought it was like an amazing movie.
Yeah, I'd probably be in that
Yeah.
boat, I'd say. But
Yeah, I like the scene where Marion tries to get Belloc drunk. That was funny. I don't know why. I just thought that scene was funny.
Drunkenness. But
A lot of the criticisms I see for the film, because this usually just devolves into conversations about which one is the best one, which one's the worst. I always say, "Oh yeah, Raiders, that's the best one of the 4." And they'll say, "No, it's Last Crusade. Raiders is boring and the ending sucks."
well,
What?
well, the ending
then.
sucks.
Okay.
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
It definitely was. The
Raiders
ending
isn't
was like
boring,
the thing
but-
I was looking
When
forward
when
to.
they say the ending sucks, they don't like. I don't think they like how what they do with the arc at the very end.
Mm.
They wanted
Ah.
something. I think people just wanted more, but I think the ending's fine. But people say
Yeah.
it's too anticlimactic.
I wouldn't say anticlimactic. They have all that build up and then they pay it off. Well, I don't know.
I like how
It's weird.
I like how when Belloc like tempts Indy about the mysterious of the arc, and he almost falls for it, and it leads him to getting captured. It shows that a part of him is still curious about this point in history, despite him not being as committed to it as Belloc is. It shows like a nice rivalry between these two characters, and they overall just have a lot of good interactions with each other, like stated. Yeah, they're just great characters. This is a solid cast of characters. I like the
I think this film has the best villains out of all the series.
Yeah, you know what? I think so.
Uh,
I honestly
yeah.
think so. I'd say so. Yeah.
Everyone always says, "Yeah, Last Crusade's the best film," but no one ever says anything about the villain of 3.
I mean, yeah, the three it has a solid
Well, it
villain,
has
but it's not
other
what makes it
aspects, but-
It's not the main thing that makes it fantastic, though. But I do think that this film.
I
do
know.
agree. I'd say that the villains in this movie are probably the best in the franchise. I think it's good to say that because
yeah.
they're just like there's 3 of them. They have conflicting ideology. They all have something like memorable about them in some way. Like I remember the arguments between Belloc and the Colonel arguing over with them having different beliefs, and Belloc basically having to control this literal Nazi. This just like with him realizing that he's literally teaming up with Nazis just to discover a point in history. So like yeah. And I thought that was a fun dynamic, like mentioned. I was gonna say something else. I said the stuff with the arc and how they like foreshadow it's mysterious is well done. Like I really like the scene with Indy and Sala, which is a character he bumps into and is good friends with. They end up like he shares his like worries about the arc and how like they were never meant to his worries about the power that it holds, and it's like it's a nice way to bring things full circle. And also the scene where they just like are digging for it is like just the night in the sky, all that.
It's really well shot, that bit.
Yeah, we didn't mention
Well,
it's really shot. It's a really well shot movie as well.
Yeah. Well, it's Spielberg.
There's that
you'd
one.
expect that.
There's that one shot that I
it's
think
good.
of. It's the one at sunset where it's just this silhouettes of them digging, and it's just the sun behind them. It's just a really just nice shot.
Yeah, looks
like it.
nice.
Yeah.
There's also the ending shot as well, which I think is good.
Yeah.
I like them putting like the arc in like this museum thing with all the other cradles just to hide it. I like that.
Well, technically they retcon it later on in the 4th one, and that's Area 51.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll get to that.
But I get embarrassed when I think of that final shot, because when I think of it, I'm like, oh, that's the Family Guy episode where they trap James Woods in a crate. Like, of course.
It's handy.
Yeah. Which that brings me to another thing. This movie, if anything, it's definitely the most parodied out of like all of them.
Yeah.
It's the most iconic one.
I distinctly remember this one Family Guy cutaway gag for some reason. I think it was Family Guy, where it's like a recreation of the scene with Indy and Marion closing their eyes, and then Marion says to Indy that she's pregnant, and then Indy says, "I think I'm going to open my eyes."
What? I don't remember this. What the
I don't remember. I just distinctly remember a cutaway like that.
Humor.
Classic.
See, no, the main parody I remember. Okay, so I did the South Park bit at the beginning, but I'll talk about that when we get to Crystal Skull. But there's another South Park bit where it's like the episode Free Hat, where they have to stop Steven Spielberg and George Lucas from making a special edition of Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then they do the face melting thing, except that people's faces melting off because of the Raiders of the Lost Ark Special Edition. So when I get to the end of it, I'm like, it's a South Park reference. So that's just my brain being fucked up. But yeah, no,
Oh,
there's a
wow.
lot of bits of
Brain
it where you're like,
rot.
yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, this movie. Yeah.
that's yeah,
It's very
I think we're good to
interesting
wrap up now,
dissecting
but,
the impact of this movie, you know?
yeah,
It's like one of like the most iconic action films for a reason, you know. It's a
yeah.
really well directed movie as well. Like Spielberg hits
Yeah.
it out of the park with this one. And it's surprising. This is yet again one of his most iconic films, along with films like Jaws and Jurassic Park and whatnot. But too
Yeah.
bad sometimes the best of films get shitty sequels. I mean, at least this film, at least the first two sequels are good, but yeah, it's a whole thing.
Right.
You know, all three of those Spielberg films have shitty sequels.
Uh,
Jurassic Park
that's-
and
yeah.
Jaws.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Indiana Jones
Poor
had one
Spielberg.
of the better track records, I guess, even though the
Mm.
has one particularly bad film we'll get to later. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's one of Spielberg's most iconic films for a reason, because it is something that is just filled with so much like passion and fun, and just a hard movie to not love in some way. You know, I'm definitely planning on revisiting this movie again in the future, because you know I definitely got better this rewatch. I enjoyed it a lot more, and like the characters more, enjoyed the action more, everything. You know, appreciate it a lot. I think I respect this movie more than I like it, but I also like it a whole lot. So like, yeah, that's still a compliment. Great movie, highly recommend.
Are we
it.
giving ratings out?
I
we
guess
giving
we
ratings
could
now?
give I guess we could
Yeah,
get to
they're
our
good.
ratings.
They're
Yeah.
good for ratings. I would go a high 8 on this one. Great movie.
I think I'd go to same high 8. A great movie. I love it. It's hard not to love it, and we pretty much said everything we need to say. It's probably the one, like I said, the one I have least amount to say, because I don't think I'm as passionate about it as the other ones. But it is still like a very respectable one, which I've noticed a pattern between this one and the Bayforms video, where I have the least to say about like the first one. Weird comparisons here.
Well, I mean, maybe Bayformers one's a little better than this, but
Excuse
you know.
me? Really?
What do you mean?
Whatever. ACritic, get to your rating.
Okay,
What is
question. Did Indiana Jones give an Optimus speech?
it? Okay, that's true. You got me there.
Okay. Alright.
What about you, ACritic?
Well, they should have done that. He should have given speeches at the end of these. That sounds great.
Fuck no. All right, Raiders of the Lost Ark. That bad boy gets a 10 out of 10. Is
Alright,
perfect.
fair enough.
Yeah, I love it. First one, that's the best one.
Interesting.
Although I will say, the Temple of Doom is
Which is the
better.
next
Let's
one.
talk about Temple
Yeah, let's
of
get to
Doom.
Temple of Doom. Now, this is an interesting one, because this is a prequel.
So I'm gonna give a little. Yeah, this is a prequel. To give a little bit of backstory on this. So from what I gather, both Steven Spielberg, like I mentioned, but George Lucas was also heavily involved in these first 4. I don't think he cared. He definitely did not care about 5. But he was.
No, they just didn't want him back
Spielberg
for 5.
Yeah, well, no, because Disney hates George Lucas because he made the prequels.
Yeah, I think
Then
I heard
also-
somewhere that this was like his least favorite of the 3.
Oh no, but
Yeah.
what I was gonna say was, so I know that I think George and maybe Spielberg too, they were in like a bad place because George was going for like a
Yeah.
divorce or something.
Oh,
So if you
damn.
ever want to know why this movie quite literally has a heart being ripped out, that's why.
Oh
Yeah.
shit! I didn't even pick up on that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is,
That makes
Temple
me
of Doom
love this movie
is.
even more now I think
yeah.
about it.
So now thinking about it, Temple of Doom is the most insane Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, it's like
It's the
weird.
most odd.
I know.
That being said, I fucking love this movie.
It is so fun. It's so much fun.
I love this one.
I don't think it's like, I think like it's just fun. Honestly, it's just like
I think
such a,
you could make. I think Raiders is better than this movie, but I find this movie more fun. So it gets my fun
fair.
mode.
I've
I
seen
can respect
criticisms with it, a lot of criticism,
Yeah.
but I honestly
Yeah.
don't
Way
really.
more.
It's very
way more
silly
Temple
at
of
points,
Doom than the
which-
others.
I'll say.
But
Yeah.
great movie. It's a prequel, like we mentioned. Indy's a bit younger in this movie.
Mhm.
So interesting.
Which I think is interesting because
Cool,
it
yeah.
never like never say anything that highlights that it would be a prequel. Just you're just supposed to like pick up on that.
Yeah, it's
Not like a
Just
direct
outside,
story.
well, the beginning it says 1936 instead of
Yeah,
no, hold on, it was 1934 for the first one. 1938 is the Raiders.
yeah. Well, you pick up on the year, but it's not like Temple of Doom's plot ties into Raiders. Really, it doesn't at all. But
Oh,
like
they're all
it's
really standalone-ish.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I think it's neat. But yeah, this like I said, this movie's the most overtly silly out of all of them. There's stuff like the raft chase, which is like
Oh, that's
cool.
that's a great scene. That's like
Yeah,
that's fun. Love good action
and
here, like the bridge scene in the climax, just to
ooh, I
put
love that
further
part. Oh, and the mine card.
the mine
Can't
cart.
forget about the
Yeah,
mine card.
two banger
Ooh.
action scenes, so close to each other,
E.
so close. But yeah, this
Did you
movie.
say that this one is the most silly one of the lot?
Well, okay.
Of the
Out of
trilogy.
the original three, if you include like Crystal Skull and Dial of Destiny, that's like different. But out of the original three, it's definitely the most silly.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'd say Last Crusade is way more sillier. I'd say.
I wouldn't say that, but
Oh, come on! There's that whole thing's like goofs and gaffs,
Well-
especially when Sean Connery shows up. Then it's
well, no,
just
those
a
are like
full blown.
I'm talking about the set pieces more. Like that one has more jokes, obviously, but that's different. Okay.
Yeah, I'd say
Um,
like yeah.
Uh,
In terms of what I like about this movie, I enjoy characters like Shorty, who is this kid that
a short
Oh,
round, yeah.
short
I fucking
round.
love
I
short
call him
rounds.
Oh, he's the
He's
best.
so funny.
I love him.
I hear some people calling him annoying. I'm like, what? Shut up.
Oh no, short round's the best.
So many
Okay.
people hate short round.
Yeah, like what did he
I
do?
don't-
He
I
won
never
an
got the short
Oscar.
round
He
hate.
won an Oscar for
Yeah.
a reason. Bro won an Oscar for Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean, that
Oh,
was
that
when he
doesn't-
was an
Yeah.
adult, though.
Yeah, but still,
here he's
Yeah.
you know, he won an Oscar
Oh,
at
that
some
is
point.
that is interesting
He's
though.
respected.
Like those are like his two big roles. Like in Indie. Oh yeah, I guess Goonies. I guess, but no, he was in this, and then decades later, he's a Oscar-nominated actor. Like wow.
Yeah, maybe he
Go
probably
winning
wouldn't even
there.
have ended up with that win if it wasn't for this movie. So like everyone just bowed
Yeah.
towards this movie, okay?
Yeah.
Let's all
Wouldn't even
appreciate
say
Wouldn't
it's
have-
because of.
You wouldn't have
the
everything
film. It's
everywhere
just
all at
because
once.
of
But
his
I
like
don't know.
presence in it. I'd say
yeah,
I like
he's better than the other new main character. I'll say that much. But
What, you don't like Willie? I've seen
Oh,
so
no, I
many
like her. She
people
just
call her
screams a lot.
annoying, and like that's fair.
I think she's
screamed a lot.
intentionally annoying.
Yeah,
I don't know
she's
if
one
that
of those.
justifies it.
One of the
but
funniest
it's
scenes in the
true.
movie to me is the scene when they're on their way to like the titular like temple place, and then while Indy and Shorty are just like playing cards while Willie is just screaming and freaking out over being in the I
That's the
love
thing.
that
She
scene.
screams all the time.
It's so
in this
funny.
movie.
She falls off an elephant after spraying perfume on the elephant. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
I like how she's just thrown in on this adventure after like the opening scene where Indy's at like this party thing and ends up getting scammed and nearly dies for poison. Like, come on, that's a great way to introduce her.
Yeah.
She's just along the ride for the whole movie. I like that. That's funny.
thing about
Yeah.
thing about Willie is that's the bit I pick up on when I found out that George Lucas was going through a divorce, because you can see all of that through Willie. She is so less self-sufficient and independent than Marion or Elsa in 1 and 3. She just whines and complains. She thinks all the adventuring is stupid, and she screams. She puts the perfume on the elephant. It's just all of it.
I didn't even
It's
think
just
of it like
ridiculous.
that. But that's way funnier.
Yeah,
Look at it
honestly,
like that.
honestly, you guys telling me this makes a lot of it even funnier to me.
Like, even I'll admit, Willie is funny, even though she can be annoying sometimes. I do think she is funny as well.
Yeah, she's a funny character. I do think that like her annoyance and just the way she freaks out is what makes her funny to me. You know,
Yeah.
just her
Yeah.
presence. That's why I enjoy her. Despite like I can understand like some people calling her annoying. I feel like you said, Brian, that's like kind of intentional. So
Yeah, it's intentional.
It's so intentional.
yeah,
Oh, definitely.
let's be honest. Yeah. Then it just gets like really weird with all the like heart crap. You guys
Like
want
a
to talk
cult.
There's like a
And, like-
cult
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the main antagonist of the movie, like this big
Yeah.
cult that like rips people's hearts out and sacrifices them to.
Got a whole
just gonna
mine
call him
cart system
Satan.
and everything.
I'm just gonna call
Yeah.
him Satan. It sounds funnier. I
That's a
think that
good
it's a
description.
different
Let's
name.
talk about the racism.
Oh god,
Oh.
no.
Oh,
Come on, let's do
Uh-oh.
that. Come on, let's talk about the racist bits.
Good old gorilla head.
We can skim past that.
What,
No, that was
no,
monkey brains.
The monkey brains.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
monkey brains. The eyeball
I see some
soup.
people give this movie like
The
a lot of flack for that, and if it makes you
Snake
uncomfortable,
surprise.
Oh.
The snake surprise. The eyeball soup. Don't
What's the
forget that.
surprise?
Oh,
The surprise is that.
Fucking snake surprise just shits me up. I hate it.
yeah. You know,
Love that.
I'm willing to give it a little more leeway because it was like the 80s. It was a different time, but even still, some of that I'm like I wince at. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
boy.
can try and make the argument that, well, this isn't the entirety of India that's depicted in the film. This is just this one little bit. Like
Yeah.
everybody in Pankot is nuts. They're all weirdos who are all part of the cult in the basement.
Yeah. I
But-
think there was like
Yeah,
one of
I think that's what the intention is, but I don't blame people for like misconstruing that because it's.
I mean,
really-
for what Indiana Jones is based on, being the like old adventure serials from the 1930s, I'd say it fits in a lot nicer there, where attitudes towards races were a lot less cool.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can argue about that.
You know.
Put it nicely, but
yeah, I think this film got better on rewatch. Like I said, I've only seen the
oh yeah,
a couple years ago. I
it's-
saw this movie and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I actually at the time remember liking this more than Raiders, and I'm unsure about that now. Like
Oh.
it might just be in the same.
I heard
time.
that. Yeah,
I'm unsure.
Yeah.
The movie is very like it is bizarre with the whole cult things with the hearts and basically putting the kids to slavery to find these like relics that will unleash their god or something.
Yeah,
It's
Indy frees the
weak as shit,
slaves.
this film.
It's
Especially when, as soon as they go underground, it's like the most miserable, like dark and like decrepit thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
The first ritual scene.
yeah, the ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, Indy gets under the ritual and gets like fucking possessed or some shit. Like that
Oh, yeah.
scene, that's like insane. Like
Yeah.
damn.
This movie was so dark, it invented a new rating for the MPAA. Like,
Damn.
that's the. You guys know? Oh yeah, this is kind of a common thing, but because of Temple of Doom specifically, they're like, well, no, they can't just be PG because this movie's not an R, definitely not. But you couldn't take like your kid to this, so eventually, because this movie PG-13 exists, and that's why Last Crusade is way more tame than Temple of Doom, which I wouldn't say is a bad thing, but it's definitely different noticeably if you compare this to Last Crusade. You know,
Yeah.
hold on. Oh, there you are. But yeah, yeah. I think one of the main things about this movie that I find interesting is the opening. Because so the opening of Raiders, right? We talked about that's an iconic film opening, maybe one of the most iconic film scenes ever. And I think like intentionally, you start up Temple, and you can tell it's way different just from the beginning because you open that right. And there's no action, nothing really. It's like a big, grand, this elaborate dance number, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it's just a conversation, like a jazz club or whatever. And then only like a little bit after that's when the action actually gets started. And so it's very, very different, like stylistically, compared to any other Indiana Jones movie. So if you can give
Can I
this
comment on
anything-
the dance number?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So what I noticed on rewatching all 5 of them, is that I noticed that the opening credits for 1, 3, 4, and 5, the opening credits are all in white. But the second one specifically is in an orange, reddish fire color for the opening credits.
Yeah.
Detail.
It's not like that for 3, 4, or 5 afterwards. It goes straight back to white for Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah,
Well,
what's
I
weird
don't know,
about
Temple of
this-
Doom's always been like the odd duck for people. This
It's
is
like
what I tend
this
to
is
notice.
not only a prequel, but it feels like no characters in this movie ever come back in the other movies. You know,
Yeah.
it's all kind
They
of forgot.
could
Not
have
even a
brought back Short
mention
Round,
of
but
Shorty or Willie. Not a mention of either of them. They're just forgotten about, which is kind of a shame if I'm being honest. Like,
yeah.
come on,
Oh well.
like just one reference. Stop pretending
This
like
movie
this
has
movie isn't
great
canon. Come
characters.
on,
Yeah.
it's fun characters.
Temple
I mean, they
of
don't.
Doom is
They
great.
reference Temple of Doom in the fifth one
Oh,
because he
I
references
must
getting
have not-
possessed by voodoo.
Oh yeah, sort of.
I must have
Yeah,
not
I guess
catched
so.
that.
I don't think I remember that. I think I
The
remember
fifth
that in the
movie's
trailer.
boring,
I remember
but-
that in the trailer of the movie. I don't know. I don't
Oh.
remember the actual scene of it in the movie now that I think about it. So yeah, I guess that's like the closest we've gotten to a reference, but no character references, even when it should be needed.
Oh, yeah.
I'll get to that later. But and yeah, it's like in this movie, it's just. I really like the scene with like where Indy and Shorty are stuck in this room with Spikes, and then Willie is forced to like get over a fear of bugs just to get him out. I love
Yeah.
that scene. Is so funny. I love it. It's like it's just so funny. See, it's tension heavy. It's really funny seeing like Willie just freak out over all the like books and shit on the floor, and then just like opens the friend Spikes and how like they almost nearly die due to her being scared.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Mm.
And this movie's goofy in scenes like that, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
And
but I love that. It's great.
yeah,
It's fun.
yeah.
So goofy.
Yeah, it is fun. Yeah, this film is just as fun as 1 and 3. I'm not denying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people have warmed up to it recently because some people, I don't know if they used to call it bad, but some people are like, Temple of Doom is not as good. Now I see more people say Temple of Doom's also great, just not to the level.
The most flack I see for it, the most people sling shit at it for, is that it's got racist bits and people find Willie and Short Round annoying. That's all the criticism.
Yeah,
That's the
I
most
see for it.
criticism I hear as well. Yeah, that. But I like Short Round. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I like Short Round too.
Yeah, he's
He's
fun.
amazing.
I think Short Round's given too much flack. Willie, I get, even though I don't agree with, but Short Round's
I
great.
can kind of see Willie, but no, I love Short Round.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone
he's
says.
great. I really like his interactions
I don't
with
know.
Indy, and I also like the
He
scene.
could have been way worse because he's like, you think, kid's sidekick for the big action hero. That sounds annoying, but nah, he's charming. He's
I like all
nice
I like him being put Short Round, like a kid like him, just being put in this very fucked up situation.
yeah.
It's just really funny to me. I also like the scene.
Don't give him too much of an introduction either. He just, all right, here's Short
just
Round.
right into it. Like he just
Yeah,
catches.
they explain who he is like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, he's like the
Oh,
getaway
why
driver.
do you have a kid with you? Oh yeah, he tried to steal my wallet and he's been with me ever since. His
I like
parents
that
were
backstory.
killed and he's
I
put
like-
on the street.
Where'd
He
he
was
go
3.
after that though? That's the question. What happened to him?
Oh,
You never
see,
know.
that's why they should have brought him back for the 5th one.
There's so many
What a fourth one.
opportunities. Do
No,
something.
because everything everywhere all at once was so big. You think they'd be like, let's get Kiki Kwan back. He could be Short Round again.
Yeah,
But they
I
didn't
thought
go
they
for
would.
that.
I thought they would have done that. For how much the 5th one was reshot, they could have at least like put one of them. At least if he's not going to be in the whole film, just put him in at the end.
Give him like a cameo and people would like clap.
Yeah,
That would
just
happen.
this cameo, like a
I
small
don't-
cameo. That's the least they could
Yeah,
have
I mean,
done. A reference, not
Maybe
even
you
his name is mentioned. Like, come on. Like, come
We'll
on,
get
man.
to my grievances about about the 5th one. Why Short Round's not there? We'll
Yeah.
get to that when we get to the 5th
Yeah, and
one.
we brought that movie up a lot later.
Maybe
so, like,
Short
there's
Round was
a lot
also
to-
killed off screen.
Oh, that would
Oh,
suck.
Oh,
Shia
fuck you!
I can see it.
Yeah,
They
I
would.
don't know why, but I found a part of it genuinely sad. The scene where Indy is like getting possessed into the cult and whatnot, and then Short Round is just straight
yeah.
up scared, and then is just forced to watch and tries to fight back.
Even before that bit, both of those guys, both him and Indy are like tied up, and Indy's getting like thrashed with his own whip, and Short Round's getting whipped as well. And it's like the
so
most
sad.
miserable shit in
But
the
don't
entire
worry.
series.
Yeah, they get revenge back in the climax, such as the scene where Shorty beats up the guy who's been voodooing Indy, because like Indy becomes
Yeah,
a voodoo
the
doll. in one
Maharaja.
scene. Yeah, while Indy also
Mhm.
beats up one of the guys part of the cult. Nice
Yeah,
payback for what happened earlier.
main slave guy.
Yeah.
That's the same actor who plays the boxer guy from the first film. The guy who gets cut up by
Ah.
the plane propellers.
Oh,
Oh, that makes sense,
really?
actually, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same character.
Ooh.
But
No,
that's
but he
I
dies
actually-
in Temple of Doom,
Well, no.
which is a prequel.
Oh yeah, he does. What
Uh,
damn.
And also,
Maybe-
they
Maybe he
they
didn't
browned
really
him up
die.
so he could be Indian. They browned up that actor to be Indian, so it can't be the same character. Because why would the Nazis hire someone of Indian descent to be
That's
part
true.
of their soldiers?
Hitler never discriminates. I'm sure they'd love him.
Get to
Oh.
that in the next movie. Anyways, yeah,
Mhm.
great fun movie. I like what else was there to say? I have some other stuff in like my notes.
Anything to say about Mola Ram, who's the main
The
villain of the film?
He's
like
great.
I don't think he's like an amazing villain. I think he's definitely not as good as the villains in the last movie. I do think he's still
But he is scary.
he
That's his
is
main
scary.
strength.
He is a scary villain. Just like how he runs this cult for this Satan like god Satan like thing is just like so creepy. Like the scene where he just the scene and the way he dies, like the scene during the bridge, which like that's probably one of the best scenes in the movie, especially since it happens near the go kart thing. Like I said, the scene with like when he
Go
tries to
Kart.
yeah, the go kart. That's what I like calling it. The go kart scene. Yeah.
It's a mine cart, but
I'm gonna call it
Flying
go
cart,
kart scene.
actually.
Go kart. Call it go kart because it's epic. You know, it's a epic name to describe it. Anyways, in that scene where he literally tries to like while they're falling off the bridge, he tries to like grab Indy's heart with like this satanic spell, and then he ends up dying. Like, damn, that's
Cover
creepy.
your heart! Your heart, Indy! Cover your heart!
Yeah, I just love the Sure, he's a fun character. Yeah, I don't understand any of the people saying he's annoying. Like, come on, he's fun. He's a lovable character. He's a lovable side character. You know, I
He's
love.
a lovable scam.
Yeah, exactly. I love his dynamic with Indy. It gets weirdly heartfelt and wholesome by the end of it, I guess.
Mm.
I like when he just laughs at Willie for like all the shit with the elephant. I like it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
funny.
I also like the scene where I just like all the scenes with Willie and the elephant. Like there's this scene in the forest, this little detail I put in my notes, the scene with like the elephant's trunk that keeps bothering Willie, and then the next scene she just runs into this thing thinking it's the freaking elephant. I like that.
Yeah.
Love good scenes.
Oh
in
yeah,
this
that's.
movie.
Oh! I want to talk about the bit. I want to talk about the bit that I forgot about. Because I keep forgetting that this is in the film. So it's just before the bridge scene, where Indy's running around on top of the cliff, and then he sees two guys, and they pull out swords, and it's a callback to the first film where he grabs the gun to shoot the guy with the sword, and you'd think he's about to grab his gun and shoot the two guys with the swords, but then you realize he doesn't have his gun, and so he runs off while he's getting chased again.
I forgot about that part, but yeah, that was funny. I remember that slightly. But yeah. This movie's just really funny. Like a lot just the characters are just really funny to me, you know? Just seeing Indy interact with this like annoying girl and this young kid makes for a fun trio to follow over throughout the movie. And then having to face this very fucked up like satanic cult is just a really fun plot and situation to put these wacky characters into, you know? That's what I like about it so much. That's why I think it's a great movie, and I feel like I don't understand why it's hated by many people. I don't understand. This movie's great.
Well, okay, I sort of get it.
I get some of the criticisms, like
also
the
you're
racism
like,
and the
you're mean.
Lily thing, but I don't understand someone like straight up hating it, thinking it ruined the franchise. I don't know. I feel some people. I don't know if there's some people who hate it that much, but I've heard
I don't.
before.
I don't hear anybody say it ruined the franchise. People just don't like it because they just hate it as a film.
Yeah, something like that. I think this is
Some people are weird. Temple of Doom is badass.
Yeah,
who cares if it's racist? Don't take that out of context.
Who cares about the monkey heads? Am I right? Yeah, that.
And can I talk for a second about the James Bond influences on Indiana Jones?
Sure.
Oh yeah, sure. I think it's because Spielberg wanted to make a Bond, right?
Yes, he wanted to make a James Bond film, But the main guy, the main producer behind the Bond films at the time, he got rejected 3 times for making a Bond film. So Steven was like, all right, well, I'll make my own then with George Lucas, and they're going to be much better than the James Bond films. And there's quite a lot of similarities between Bond and Indiana Jones. Have you guys seen any of the Bond films?
No,
I've
actually.
seen literally the first one. I wanted to do a Bond marathon, but I forgot to watch all. Oh wait, and fuck, this is so embarrassing. So I've seen the first one, and I've seen Die Another Day, the 2002 film. Fuck.
Oh, great!
But,
You really picked the best ones to watch there.
Yeah. I'll do a Bond binge someday. Be honest, I most notice it with this movie because of the whole opening and everything. It's like, oh,
Yeah, the opening is like its own little Bond theme. Then even like all the bits, especially the first bit where he's trying to grab the antidote for the poison he's been given, and they're running around and they're shooting and there's people just screaming and all sorts, and it's a bit wacky, and then, it's a bit like one of the 1970s Bond films. It's like a Roger Moore one.
Yeah, he also uses the gong thing as a shield. I like that, just rolling over.
Oh yeah, that's just a really good bit.
Yeah. Great opening scene. It's wacky, it's fun, the setting's cool, and then like Willie just being pulled for this adventure, and then just like he just sticks around for the whole thing. What did you think of the romance between Indy and Willie?
See, I couldn't get invested in it too much because Willie's kind of a joke of a character, so it's like,
I'm definitely not invested in it, but it's passable. I don't know. I don't really. I can't say I really buy it or anything, but
Well, she's here. Might as well have sex with her at least once, There's just no marrying. Yeah, no, I couldn't care about those two together.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since she's like forgotten about.
Yeah,
the other sequels mostly just forget about it. Like, the only thing that they've only mentioned this movie once, and it was like in the 5th film, like you said, ACritic. Like, yeah. That's like
honestly, I wouldn't have said no if they really had to make a 5th one. I wouldn't have minded if Willie had a cameo in it, like running her own like club or something. I wouldn't have minded a little cameo where Indy has to like go to a club to get some information, and she's there, and they have a little talk before they get right back on with the main bit of the story. But I would have been happy with that.
Yeah.
To watch, if I would to see at some point, I would have loved at some point just to see Indy, old Indy, and grown-up Shorty interact with each other. That would have been great.
That would be so nice.
That would have been so wholesome. I swear, that would have been so nice.
Yeah.
The 5th film, the final film we should have got.
Should have.
But we'll get
more to
we're
that.
Gonna get to that one.
Trust us.
Oh well.
But
we'll get deeper into that later.
I feel like we'll end up talking about Indy 5 more in other segments than in the Indy 5 segment itself. But
because it's just like the impact and how these films have like played the way for that one and how poor it turned out. So like, yeah, that's kind of why we've been bringing that up often in these segments, and how it's like it's played in the 5th film. So that's kind of why we've been bringing it up.
You guys got much more to say about Temple of Doom? I think I got a good rundown at least.
I was gonna say more about the Bond influences, but
you guys can go ahead. If you have anything.
Indiana Jones has like a lot of similarities to James Bond. He's dashing, he's charming, he's cool, he's very attractive to the members of the opposite sex. Of course, in Raiders, there's the bit in the classroom where all the girls are interested in him, and of course, it's just every female character he meets in every film he beds. Although he's not as creepy. He's not as creepy around women like Bond is, though. A lot more nicer.
Maybe I should get to those movies one day.
There's also in Bond films, there's a henchman to the villain, and he has like a big fist fight with Bond, and that villain will end up dying in some horrific way. And you got that in Raiders. It's the bit where the guy gets his cut up by the plane. In the second one, it's the same guy getting flattened by the rock grinder. Third film, it's Vogel falling off the cliff in the tank. Fourth film, it's the guy with the ants. Yeah. There's like, but we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's just a lot of Bond bits in all these films, and I respect the influences.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great little movie. I enjoyed myself watching it, and I recommend you check it out. Don't skip
Yeah.
it. It's a prequel.
It's not as bad. It's not as bad as people say.
Yeah.
It's
Some
great.
people are too
even.
hard on it. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun movie. Part of me thinks of calling it like a guilty pleasure, but there's also a lot of things I unironically
Well, I wouldn't say it's
really
a
like.
guilty pleasure. I'd say it's unironically great. It's just a little
It's
much
a little
sometimes,
goofy,
but I
a
don't
little
care.
much sometimes.
I love
I
this
agree.
movie.
But yeah, it's a great movie. I definitely enjoyed myself watching it. I'm giving.
We doing ratings?
I guess we could get to our ratings. Does anyone else have anything else to say about this movie? I think I basically summarized it.
You run down it pretty well.
It's nice seeing Indy. It's always fun seeing Indy react. It's always just fun watching Indy interact with these characters, and the bond forms we see with Shorty. That's wholesome. That's why that's kind of the why I would really like to see him again. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Even for a little cameo or just a small scene, he doesn't even have to be the main character of the movie. Like, come on.
Disney,
but we're never seeing Short Round ever again because there's no
let's be honest.
Disney, if you're ever hemorrhaging money, Disney Plus's Short Round. You want to do something else?
Yeah. Don't give us the Helena. Don't give us the Helena Shaw TV show. Give us the Short Round show.
Cancel all the MCU TV shows for this. Cancel all of them, and then just do this instead. Cancel Loki season 2.
Exactly.
That's already coming out. Cancel something like the Harkness. Cancel that one. That's not even started production yet.
Yeah.
Cancel that. Give me Short Round, please.
I don't care if Loki season 2 is already coming out. Cancel it for Short Round. I don't give a shit how much hard
potatoes.
Anyways, I guess we get to ratings. I'm gonna give this a solid 8 out of 10. Same rating as the last film. Can't really decide which one is like better, but yeah. What about you, ACritic?
Raiders gets a 10 for me. Temple of Doom gets an 8. I go back and forth on whether it's a 7 or an 8 on rewatches because sometimes I don't like it as much as I did the last time. But for this watch, it gets an 8. It's I do like the highest
film. I think I'm the highest on this one compared to you guys. I'm gonna go a generous 9 on this one.
Ooh.
Great.
You love this movie. All right, that's good for
fantastic.
you. Yeah, I also enjoy it a lot. Great movie.
I can accept that. I can accept the 9.
All right.
Yeah, great.
The next one is better though.
Yeah, right here. It is. Yeah. Come on, it is. Next is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is my favorite of the best Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, you basic bitch!
Yeah, come on, it's a fun.
What's your favorite Indiana Jones? It's the Last Crusade.
What do you want me to say? My favorite's Crystal Skull. Is that all you want?
No. It's just sure, you could say that. It just gets tiring after a while when everyone always says Last Crusade's the best.
Well, no, Raiders seems so basic though. It's like,
Raiders isn't the basic pick. No, that used to be the basic pick, but now everyone's just Last Crusade.
Yeah.
It is pretty damn good though. It's a pretty damn good movie though. Come on.
Saying you're controversial for calling Last Crusade is the best one is like saying it's like a controversial take to call like Treasure Planet underrated or something like that. It's like shifted so much.
No,
the
no
hot
one
take is the
yeah.
Well, everyone loves Last Crusade, but they should.
But it's not a hot take to say Last Crusade is the best one because everyone says that.
Well, I mean, they're kind of right though. But
yeah. I enjoyed this movie. If I was really fun. I really enjoyed the stuff with Indy and his father. I think that's like the carrying point for a lot of it. I love the bond that he has with him, and it feels very genuine and like I like the scenes with them a lot. And overall, I like how they
Hmm.
do what they do with Indy's character here. You know, like I forgot to mention with Temple of Doom, but I did like something that they did there with like the whole thing with him originally just seeking the treasure thing out for money, but then growing to just like giving it back to the village instead. Growing a heart. But I also like his connection with his dad and how it develops in this movie. How it continues to
Yeah.
build upon his character here. And I think it works well because I just love his interactions between his dad. One of the best, like it's like he's not in like the first part of it, but they definitely establish him well. I like the MacGuffin idea here with the whole thing this time being like the Holy Grail with the basically the secret to eternal life and whatnot. I think that makes for an interesting MacGuffin, and I think that works well with Indy and his dad's relationship, and that's why I really enjoy it. I love the stuff here. There's a lot of stuff to like here. And it's probably one of my favorite action movies, if I'm being completely honest. What do you think of it?
Hmm. What do I
Uh,
think of Last Crusade? There was a time at one point where I thought this was my least favorite out of the three. I
really?
don't think that any. Yeah. And not that I hate any of the indie films. I love all three of these films. I think they're all really good and they're all very close to my heart. I just have varying opinions on each one. I used to think the third one was my least favorite,
Wow.
but it is now my Last Crusade is now my second favorite on this watch.
Okay.
It is. I don't really have much to say in general, like general things, because it is just as good and well made as Raiders. It's acted well. I'd say it has more of a point to make. There's something behind it. I think
Yeah.
Raiders doesn't really have like a theme or a message behind it. The third one definitely does with the bond between Henry Senior and his son.
Yeah, which is like
But
the thing I really like about it. I also like. I know we're cutting right to the ending before getting into all the stuff with the Miller in the middle, but I really like the twist near
mm,
the end when it turns out the tit Indy got his name Indiana from the dog. I like that. In general, I love the opening to this movie as well. We see Indy as a child. We see the train chase. We see how he got his hat. We see him
yeah.
trying to steal a relic that belongs in a museum. I love that. I love that quote.
Okay, I think River Phoenix was cast so well as a young indie.
Oh yeah, yeah. He looks
It
just
was
like
he,
he just looks like
it was, but he's also just he was just really good in the role. I think River Phoenix, he was great.
yeah. I like the
Can I say one thing about the beginning as well?
sure.
Um, what I like about the third one is that they don't play Indiana Jones theme when you first see him as a kid.
Yeah,
They only
Yeah,
play
they
it
don't like.
when
They don't
he
even
gets the
reveal it's
hat.
him until later.
yeah.
Go
Brian,
ahead,
you're
go
back.
Yeah,
ahead.
no, they only play it when he gets the hat when he finally gets the hat at the end of the flashback.
Yeah, I know. I noticed
It's
that.
like
They
the theme
play
also
throughout.
starts up a little bit when he tries to crack the whip against the
Yeah, I
lion, but then
noticed that
it fades
actually. Yeah.
when he fades out. He cuts himself on his chin. I'm like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he
I
falls
like
into
that
a pit with a
Spielberg.
lion as well. Like, that's cool.
And the
Don't forget the
reptile
damn
house.
snakes. Don't forget the snakes. We get the whole reason with it. Yeah, I loved how they introduced him with the snakes and seeing.
Mm.
Yeah, I think the first half is solid. It introduces everything well, but once Indy's dad gets introduced, it becomes like before then it was a solid introduction to everything, and it gets even better when Indy's dad is introduced. It becomes a full on blast of a movie from beginning to end. Just his
Mm.
interactions with him are just great. I love the scene where like he's double crossed by like the sort of ish love interest who always betrays Indy, the Nazi Elsa Schneider in this movie. Um, uh,
Yeah.
yeah, she like when he's betrayed by, and then in that like one scene as well, Indy just kills a bunch of people, and I really like Henry's reaction to that. Like Indy, what the fuck? He didn't say that exact thing, but I thought that his
Yeah.
reaction was really funny. This
If you can give
movie's
this movie anything, it's definitely the funniest.
oh yeah.
One.
Well, can I talk
It
about
is.
my
It's the
most
funniest one of the lot.
can I talk about one
Yeah.
of the funniest things about this movie? The scene
Yeah,
with
go ahead.
character of Marcus Brody, who was in the first film and didn't really do much, but he's like the main character. The funniest scene, I like this scene where he's trying to like find the thing with the Holy Grail and whatnot, and then he ends up like with the map, and then he's just searching throughout all of town and whatnot, and then like he just doesn't know what to do. And then in that scene, where Sala, who meets with him in that place, tells him to hide, he just runs into this like house thing, and then it turns out to be a Nazi truck, and then he gets taken away. I love that. That was so funny to me. I couldn't stop laughing. I thought that was so funny. I love that joke. That was like, he's just such a lovable goof in this movie. It just in those scenes alone are just so funny, with him just being clueless and Indy trying to trick the Nazis by saying that they like. That he's like very smart and understands other people's language when he tries to like investigate and tries to find the when he gets the map for it and whatnot. So like also like
the funniest bit for me. Oh, sorry, you keep
you
going.
Could go on. You could go on.
I was gonna say the funniest bit for me is at the end when we learned that Indy's name was that he was actually named after the dog.
I mentioned that. I know you weren't here with when I said that, but yeah, I agree. That was really funny. I love
that's
that.
That's my favorite.
The dog,
bit.
Indiana.
I love that. I love how they just got his name from that. That was good. His interactions just feel so fun, and like another great scene in this movie was the scene when they are tied up by the Nazis, and then him and Indy and Henry try to escape, and then Henry grabs the lighter, and then he just burns down the entire place by accident. Oh God, I love it.
Well, that scene so they're like tied up, and it's like a
slapstick, they have to move, and then there's the fireplace thing when they just keep moving around. Great action scene. I love it. This movie is so funny. I love the characters here.
I think my favorite thing, the funniest bit for me, is when they get in the plane to get away, to get off the blimp because it's turning around back to Berlin. And they're in the plane. They're getting chased by two more planes, and Indy tells his dad, "You gotta use the guns," and he does, and he starts firing back at them, but he shoots the fucking tail fin, and he's like, "Whoa, what happened? What happened? Did we get hit?" He said, "Oh yes, we did get hit. Yes." Also, I don't know why, but I don't know why, but that bit's my favorite. I love it.
I also love this scene with that other scene on the plane where Indy's getting chased by one of the villains, and then he knocks him off the plane and says he didn't have a ticket because he was pretending to be like. And then everyone just
everybody grabs the ticket.
And then just Henry.
I love how much of a contrast this is to the other movies, because like we talked about, Indiana Jones, like the character, he was always made as like James Bond type. He's like the cool badass one, and he still kind of is in this movie, but because his dad's around and he's like making fun of him the entire time, he seems a little more like a joke than he usually is. But not in like it's just funny, like in comparison to the other ones.
It's genuinely funny.
Really funny.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. Really funny.
Yeah, and it's like it still has a lot of the cool action and whatnot from the first and second movie. Yeah, like I said, after that scene with the lighter, which is both hilarious and well done. You got the opening when he's a kid with the train filled with animals. You got that.
They were the tank later on in the film.
Yeah, the tank. Oh my God, I forgot about that for a second. The tank. I love that scene. That scene is so good. You see like see just Indy crawling on the tank and whatnot. You see a lot of him fighting a bunch of Nazis. In ways, people compare some plot beats to the same and say they're similar to Raiders. And while I think, some of it is similar with not with them trying to find this thing before the Nazis, I think what they add here definitely does a good job at separating it from the first movie with the stuff with Indy's dad and the stuff with like, it's just better for me. Okay, just a lot better. I know you disagree, ACritic, but like I just find a lot of it. More
hey, I'm not disagreeing. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to it in a minute.
The one thing I do think Raiders does have, I mentioned this in the Raiders segment. I still think that the villains in this movie I think work well. You know, I like the difference with Elsa Schneider being this like Nazi. And then the whole love and hate relationship with her and Indy.
Good contrast to the other love interests in the other movies.
Willie was just yelling all the time, and Mary just had
I
this
chipped
fun
a nail. Oh, I just want to go back to China and Dad's. Oh no, I want to go home.
Yeah.
And Marion was also like a bit different, but it's like it's funny that she just keeps betraying him, and by the end she ends up getting her comeuppance by literally just dying after for her lust for the Holy Grail. So like, yeah, there's that. Also, this movie was supposed to be the last Indiana Jones. You could tell because it's
Yeah,
the last
they literally
crusade.
You could tell
and they
'cause
literally
the
ride
ending is
off into
really
the
good.
sunset.
Oh, I
So-
love that ending. The ending when they
Oh, that's
Oh,
such
that
a good
ending is
shot.
so
the
good.
ending shot.
beautiful shot. All the
Yeah.
characters are running in. You got Marcus Brody, who, like I said, minor character in the first film. Now he does more of this, and like I said, that hilarious scene when he's in the middle of town trying to get some people, trying to find some help.
Hello, does anybody speak English?
And then he meets up with Saul, and then and then the map is stolen, and then they need to go save him, and now they need to get Henry's book back, which is another great scene where Hitler shows up.
A bit with Hitler.
Yeah. He just gets an autograph.
He gives an autograph on Henry Jones's journal. I love that. I like how easy it is too. He just grabs it from Elsa, and then Hitler signs it. Hitler caring for his biggest fans. Like, they just got this random guy that dressed up as Hitler and then signed it. That is so goofy, but so funny. This is probably the funniest. There's a lot of good gags here.
Oh yeah.
Like I
It is.
said,
It's the funniest.
It's the one
of
that's
all.
trying to be funny the most, which I guess is why. But even still,
yeah, and
Right.
like just the dynamic between Indy and Henry, it just feels like such a genuine and wholesome father-son bond, and they have these really good conversations on the plane. And I also like the scene when they're like talking about going back to the book and whatnot, or to save Marcus and whatnot, and then they talk about the mom, and it's all very genuine and heartfelt. And I also actually like the fake out death with Indy during the tank scene.
oh, that's a great scene. I like that part.
Not only is it funny seeing the whole thing with the tank just
that's
going off the fucking cliff, and then I also like when Indy just comes back and Marcus's reaction to like how just questioning how he made it out alive, and it's a wholesome moment. Great, the tank scene and just the entire climax is very fun, very fun. Not to mention the scene where Henry just straight up gets shot in the knee, and then Indy is forced to go and retrieve the Holy Grail, or else he dies. That entire segment near the end, it keeps all the same visuals, the same like everything like that I think made Raiders good is still there, and it's like it is the perfect conclusion to this franchise, in my opinion. I guess.
It wasn't the conclusion to this
Yes,
franchise.
yeah, it wasn't,
But-
but obviously.
It was for a while.
Yeah, but it was for a while. Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. They waited a
Yeah.
couple, years to make another one, but we'll get to that later. But as for this movie, it's just like such a hard movie to hate. Like I said, everything about it just like works so well to me. It's such a fun movie to watch from beginning to end. I don't even think I have that many big problems. I generally love this movie.
Oh no,
It is
not
so
not
good.
for me. And you got anything at Critic? Anything that makes it infinitely worse than Raiders?
Yeah. Do you have any?
Hey, you've blown out that entire thing way out of proportion. All right,
Mhm.
so here it is.
Uh,
So here's the thing with Raiders and Last Crusade. I think both of them, genuinely, I think both of them are on par with each other. Where it comes down to, I think it just comes down to subjectivity, because I think they're both on the
okay.
same level. For me, I prefer Raiders because I think I just like the grittier vibe from it more. But I can
yeah, I get
perfectly-
that actually.
It's just a bit more rough and tumble, I think.
Yeah.
But I perfectly fine with the third one. The third one is also really, really good, and there's more of a point, more of a theme behind the third one. And both of them are just like on the same par, but I prefer the first one more. The third one is
And
still
I
really
get
good
that.
though.
I
Yeah, I think
kinda
'cause-
understand that.
Yeah, you mentioned it being like more rough. I get that because famously, like I just talked about the Temple of Doom thing. That's why PG-13 exists. In comparison, I don't think Last Crusade has many like overly fucked up bits as the first two do. Like, there's no like face melting or like heart getting ripped.
I mean,
out
there
or
is somebody
something.
aging to death.
Yeah,
but that part's
yeah,
not,
you
like,
have that.
That
and
part's
then he
not as like
dies.
bloody or anything.
Mhm.
Which that's a great effect too. By the way, I love that part. But yeah, and at least
I
in
think that was also stop
comparison,
motion.
yeah, I had heard something about that. Yeah, I can understand why someone would prefer the first two. For the Last Crusade, I wouldn't say it's like a problem. It's just something I noticed. It's like okay, Steven Spielberg couldn't be as fucked up this time, despite the fact that this one did get PG-13, but Temple of Doom didn't. So,
Interesting. That's interesting.
very different.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like the boat scene during and just the
Oh
rat
yeah, I was
scene.
about to bring
All
up
of
the
that
boat
is
scene.
good. Oh yeah, great scene. I like
I love
The bit
I love
where
that part. That's such a good
the
action.
bit where he's
bit.
holding Kazim right next to the propellers. He's like, "Who do you work for?" As the boat's getting
Oh my
chopped by
God,
the
yeah.
propellers.
That's
Who
like
do you work for?
and he just refuses to say, so Indy just has no choice but to just throw him on his boat.
My soul's prepared. How's yours?
I like how they subvert you. At first, you may think it's like, I like how, yeah, never mind. I like how like you're unsure who these people are, and then it's revealed that they're kind of guarding the Holy Grail. So like, and it comes back near the end, near the climax, where they're like attacking the Nazis. Yeah. The characters are all great here. All great characters, great cast here.
I
And
think Donovan as the villain is fine. Although I
um,
think he's the weakest. I think he's the weakest villain of the whole series, and that includes Irina Spalko from Crystal Skull, which we'll get to in a minute.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't think he's like an amazing. Like, I don't think he's not amazing or anything. He does got that good scene with, like I said, the scene where Henry gets shot. But I do kind of see. I don't think he's like an amazing villain. But I can understand your point.
I do like. I do like my team, all right.
Yeah, good performance and whatnot. Good performances all around in this movie. And all of these movies. I mean, mostly. I don't know, it's a whole thing. But as the main trilogy, the acting is all like spot on. I'd say.
Yeah.
Even in Crystal Skull, I don't think the acting is that terrible or anything. But I'll get to Crystal Skull after we finish, since I still have. I took a lot of notes while watching this movie. It was like really, I was really hooked onto the story a lot of the time.
Me too.
Yet I was still able to write a lot of notes for the stuff, and I noticed. I like.
The movie was actually. I appreciated this movie a lot because, not to make it extremely confusing for people who weren't there, but the night I watched this was very, very insane. I was like memeing for like 4 hours. So it was nice. I had that. Yeah, you definitely have to be there. For those who are in on it, solar opposites there. That's your clue. But it was nice because I got to calm down and relax with the very nice movie, at least out of the.
Yeah, I am definitely going to be revisiting this movie years to come. It is just something that I'm definitely I'm eager to watch it again. That's how good it is. It's a horror. I can't understand like anyone just not liking it. Like not like I can't understand anyone hating it. I like this scene where Henry like blinds someone with his pen, and then Marcus is like, the pen is mightier than the sword. That was a nice moment. I like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Bond influences for this film. Fucking James Bond is literally his dad. His James Bond literally his dad.
Oh my god!
Sean
yeah,
Connery's
I forgot about
there.
that. Sean Connery's his dad. How did I forget? How did I
Did
not
the most
forget about
blatant
that?
thing you could get.
Yeah.
But
I think this
I'm
is my
gonna bring it
favorite
up
Sean
back
Connery
when we
performance out of anything. I really like him in this film. He's
better than all
Just-
the James Bond movies, you'd say.
even then, Sean Connery's not even my favorite James Bond, which I know is like heresy, but I think he's a fine James Bond, but I just really like Henry Jones Sr. a lot more.
He's a great character. His interactions with Indy and just it is just so fun, and yeah, that's what makes his character so enjoyable. Just the way he's like paired with Indy and ties into his like arc. They have good arcs of understanding, you definitely can sympathize with both of them.
And that's nice seeing them because they're like bickering a lot for a lot of it, but
you can tell they actually end up caring about each other, because that's why Indy went on this quest in the first place. He wasn't here for the Holy Grail. He was here for his father, and it's nice seeing that come together. Has yeah, I'm sorry. This is just better than Raiders for me. Okay, just much better.
Hey, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Hey, I get it.
Okay. I want to attack you too much for it. Maybe as a joke.
I get hands spread. I have such a big smile on my face throughout the entirety of it. So like, yeah, it was such a fun movie. It had pretty much everything I think I could want in an action movie. It has a nice emotional core, fun humor, great action, which goes without saying for an Indiana Jones movie. But
Mhm.
yeah, love standout scenes here that are just
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
entire prison segment, just everything in that segment is just so funny to me. So fun. They do like an expert job at introducing Henry Jones.
Hmm.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, I
Great
forgot.
stuff.
I always forget about this bit when I watch it. It's the bit where when they go to the castle and the butler opens the door. fucking Indy does a Scottish accent and tries to
Oh, I
bullshit his way
forgot
in
to
as Lord.
mention that. Oh, thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I love that.
It is.
They don't even believe him, and so he has to punch him in the face. I forgot
Yeah.
about
Wow.
that. Thanks for reminding me. That is a great
That's-
moment. I
yeah, I
like
love
that.
that
That's
bit.
another great part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like during the boat scene where they're forced to where Elsa misunderstands Indy and then has to go between the two boats, and then they generally get crushed. Movie has a lot of funny moments.
It is. It's
De-
so funny.
Another small detail I put in my notes is that, and I remember the opening while Indy's teaching, he brings up that the whole X marks the spot thing for treasure hunts is usually bullshit. But there's like a scene in this movie where I was trying to figure out the map that has something to do with the X marks the spot. So I wrote that down as like a small
Mhm.
detail. So
Yeah.
that was a nice callback that I think
Great
I'm
bit.
gonna have to
Hmm.
put.
X did mark the spot. Wowee.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, the entire opening segment just goes without saying, I like the
Yeah.
I like him be I also like how after that opening he goes like years later he goes back to get the actual crucifix and the guy ends up
Oh,
dying in
yeah.
the explosion.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a great moment. I love
Mhm.
That's
Yeah. That opening I appreciate though, because I feel like they could have done it like poorly. This is kind of a low blow, but like Harrison Ford's other character, they'd have a Han Solo origin where they explain like how he gets his name. That's an iconic thing for the people to call stupid. Han Solo.
Solo.
And like I don't know, I think they could have done something lame like that because it's
What's
like
your
explaining
name,
different
boy?
aspects.
I have no
Name,
people.
boy. Yeah, I'm just Han. Han. No people, huh? Han Solo.
I haven't even
Yeah,
seen that
exactly.
movie.
That part's so bad.
I haven't
But yeah,
even-
no,
that's-
like you get the idea. I think they could have given something indie lame like that. But nah, no, it's a fun little origin, but they don't do like
Just the dog's
stupid
name. That's
shit like
funny.
that.
You just took
They
the
don't
dog's
over-explain
name.
anything.
I also like that idea of
Yeah,
him trying to
great.
claim his own identity and not specifically be
Mhm.
attached to Henry. Which is part
Yeah, because he doesn't like his dad.
yeah. But grows to accept him more by the end for this adventure. Like I like how they come to an
Yeah.
understanding in a believable way. That's what I like about the emotional core here. It's very believable for both of them, and
It
you can
is.
definitely
It's very
understand both of their like sides. That's what I really like
Mm.
about it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, you can definitely sympathize with both of them. Entire climax is fun within the dodging a bunch of these obstacles and just like standing on this like fake invisible bridge and then goes into the reliquum. The de-aging effects, like I said, that's cool. And then he meets this very old knight that was like teased throughout the
Yeah.
movie, and it was like, damn.
Uh-huh.
Like
Okay.
that entire segment is just like a great climax, and then it ends with Indy, Marcus, Sala, Henry. They're all just right into the sunset. Such a perfect ending to these characters. It's pitch perfect. Great, I love it.
Yeah.
But
That
I
night
can't
bit.
ask for a better ending. Go on.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say that night bit. I talked about how Raiders gets all the parodies, but that night bit kind of makes me laugh unintentionally because it reminds me of the regular show episode. Yeah. I knew you'd pick up on that. It's like the excellent Guardian bit.
Yeah.
I don't think you've got to that episode, Anthony, but it's like it's like regular show. But
well, at least
also
I'll
Monty Python.
understandable.
That's the other one.
I haven't seen that
people
movie,
mentioned.
but I
Monty
feel like I
Python
would
and the Holy Grail.
definitely like. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I gotta see Monty
Yeah.
Python.
Monty Python and the Holy Grail is better than this, but
That
you know.
probably that might watch. And fair. Maybe we should do that for an episode one day, Monty Python. That
do a
sounds like-
Monty Python episode actually.
Maybe.
I'd love
one
that.
day.
Hell yeah.
I think it'd be fun. tease to what's yet to come. But yeah, what else do I have here in my notes?
Uh,
Da, da.
yeah, you're making me feel unprofessional. I came in this blind, no notes. Or
You know, I
anything.
only take on CandyCast. I take notes for movies you talk about. Like when we did the Leprechaun video, I took notes for all of them. Like all.
Oh,
The...
you took
I did-
notes for Leprechaun?
Yes, I wanted
Okay.
to remember
No,
specific
no,
scenes.
And see, I remember when Leprechaun was happening, I was like, okay, so I did notes for a Leprechaun in the hood, and then back to the hood. I was like, I got 30 minutes in, and I'm like, why am I taking notes for Leprechaun back to the hood? So I stopped. I didn't
You see,
take
he
notes for
gets
the
it.
other ones.
You know,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, it was really stupid for me to do, but I wanted to remember specific details to bring up.
Oh man, although I will say, I did take very intricate notes for our Santa Claus episode. That might have just been me.
Oh,
I had to remember all the lore consistencies. That was a big episode.
interesting.
You have to be prepared.
I wrote here in my notes. I heard the Wilhelm scream, which is something I think
Oh,
I heard.
Oh, yeah.
I heard
Oh,
that
yeah.
in those movies. It was one of the Nazi soldiers. I'm pretty sure. So, yeah.
And the Wilhelm scream, actually.
Classic. Oh,
It-
I could not do it well. The Wilhelm scream. I can't do that well.
Yeah.
I said the Wilhelm scream. I didn't say anything else. But
I think you mispronounced it, but
Wilhelm.
yeah, that's what I said.
it is. Yeah,
That's what I
critic
said.
There you go.
Well, anyways, I don't have too much else to say in terms of my notes. I think I brought most of it up, but this is a fun movie. Honestly, blast from beginning to end.
It is a fun movie.
It has
Mm.
it's one of my favorite action movies, definitely.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's kind of like I want to see more movies like this. You know, watching
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, beating up Nazis never gets old. Except when it did in the fifth
Yeah.
film, but we'll get to that later.
well,
Nazis. I hate those guys.
Yeah. Like I said, they do a lot of new stuff with the MacGuffin and the new characters and how they I just think the characters have done better here, I like the
Oh, yeah.
characters in
I would
Raiders of the
agree.
Lost Ark,
Yeah.
I think they're great. Work well. But I think I
Mm-hmm.
like the characters even more in this movie, There's such a fun
Yeah.
personality to all of them. It's really funny, it's enjoyable. I do kind of agree. The villains I think they work well for what they are. I don't think they're amazing. I think Ultra Snyder works well. The other guys, they work, some good moments, good action scenes where they're incorporated, some funny moments, but I definitely do agree that the villains from the first film were better and definitely had more of an impact on me personally. So
yeah.
yeah, I
Speaking
do.
of Raiders again, this one also has 3 villains in it too. Just noticed that now.
Oh yeah, yeah. For Ultra Snyder, you got one of the Nazi soldiers
Donovan
guy
and
Donovan. Yeah,
and Vogel.
yeah, Vogel. Okay. Oh
All
yeah,
3 of
that's
them
his name.
again.
No, 3 villains in this one. While Temple of Doom had it technically it had one main guy who controlled over a lot of other people, so it was just a cult that was the villain of the movie, basically. But yeah,
Basically.
I can understand. I feel like compared Temple of Doom from the main trilogy, I do say it feels a bit out of place, but it's still great. It's still a great movie,
Yeah.
It's not like a dip
Yeah.
in quality for me. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is a
Still good
solid.
about racist.
Yeah, this is a solid trilogy. It's trilogy. This was a solid trilogy. I'm saying this was because it was a trilogy.
You can
It's
still
not-
treat it as a trilogy. They wrap it up pretty.
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
solid.
This is a
The other
great-
2 are optional DLCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except one is that, one is the DLC that's has some funness despite feeling a bit unnecessary, and the other one is the DLC that barely works.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
mean,
a good.
I'd argue Crystal Skull has some value, but we'll get into
We'll get
it.
to that. Yeah, we'll get to that soon.
Well,
Do you
It's
guys?
a fun movie, people.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Little-
Come on, guys. It's really fun. So yeah. Do you guys have anything else to say?
doing ratings for Last Crusade.
If you
no,
guys have
no,
anything
I'm
else to
done.
say,
That's
then.
doing pretty well.
Do you have anything else to
got
say,
any-
Brian? Because I know you're
uh,
very passionate about this movie. It seems you seem to really like it.
I think we went over a lot of it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Still
I'm
says
ready
this is my favorite one. But
Yeah, same. I agree.
Bingo
I agree.
rating.
This is my favorite one. Anyways,
All right.
I'm going to give this one a solid 9 out of 10. I could see maybe if I rewatch it, it could end up at a 10 out of 10 score, but I'm keeping it at a 9 for now. Amazing movie. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I think it earns it. I'm gonna go a firm 10 on Last Crusade.
Yeah,
I don't think I have many
Good for you.
problems with it. It's on the podcast list. It's the lowest 10, but it's still a 10. So yeah, I love this movie, Last Crusade.
What about
peak.
you, ACritic?
What about you, ACritic?
What about you?
Right. So as I said, subjectively, I'd say both. No, both Raiders and Last Crusade are on the same level of each other's quality. But subjectively, I'll go Raiders. But Last Crusade still gets a 9 out of 10 from me. I don't know. One day I'll probably wake up and say Last Crusade is the best one. Now it's a 9 out of 10. It's my second favorite, but it's
If it does
still like,
happen, I will
really,
make
really
fun of
good.
you, no offense, because that'd be funny.
I know you. Everyone will. But no, Last Crusade 9 out of 10. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Also, the Suicide Squad is better than Last Crusade, ACritic? Okay. Gotten shit.
Oh, duh.
Okay.
Yeah, this guy's a bit of a gun shill. That's why we invited him on, even though we did 2 gun movies today.
Oh, we're never doing a James Gunn episode. Oh, boy.
Oh, come on.
Well, no.
If we
It's
do,
gun
we will
propaganda.
probably get you on or something. We'll see. Anyways,
If we do.
now we get to
Alright.
the
Now these are the movies that people don't like.
This
as
is
much.
when stuff
I will
gets a
defend
little
Crystal Skull,
difficult.
kinda.
Indiana Jones and the
Alright, so to give
Kingdom
a-
of the Crystal Skull. Let's
Yeah.
get
All right.
into
So
it.
for some additional context again, so for a while Spielberg did not want to make a 4th Indiana Jones. He was like, we wrapped it up good. We got 3 movies. We're good. However, his golden boy George was like, okay, we should make a 4th one. All right, come on, Steven.
Steven,
Let's make a 4th
I want
one.
to do a 4th one, Steven. I want to do
That's a good George Lucas impression. But yeah,
Oh, thank you.
no, I think
Thank you.
so for a while, I think ideas were tossed around, but then eventually Steven relented, and we were like, all right, a 4th one. This will be our real Findle Indiana Jones movie. And instead of focusing on like Nazis and other famous stuff, they went with, all right, we're gonna go aliens.
Aliens,
And
baby.
that was,
Well,
and as such, we got
technically-
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Which-
technically, Steven
here-
didn't want to do aliens.
Yeah, I
Steven
don't
didn't
think he
want to do
wanted
aliens.
that, but okay, this is if you want more other counter. I think this is the most George Lucas influenced indie movie, which is maybe why I like it. But
It's not very good. I don't think it's
okay.
terrible. Like
I think some people definitely overhate it because I think
It's
this is
a
a fun movie.
it is a huge
It's
step
not great,
down.
but I do like it.
It is definitely a step down from the first 3 in a lot of ways.
It
And
But
I
the original
definitely,
trilogy definitely.
yeah, I definitely think the Last Crusade works better as a conclusion. But I never really
Mhm.
like even watching it. Was like, okay, this ain't good, but I'm not baffled by any of it. Like
I
it's
think there's some
definitely
good
weak.
decisions. Honestly, there's like fun stuff in this
Our
movie.
good old pal Sam Witwicky's in this movie.
Oh yeah, for all you bayheads,
friend.
Shia LaBeouf's back, and I think some people don't like him. Honestly,
He
I
plays
think he's like
Indy's
fun
son.
for what he is.
So
Like, what are you guys' thoughts
Fuck
on
you.
that?
Indy's real son was short round. I don't want to hear any more of this.
Wow,
I don't.
they can both exist, but
Anyways, what you guys?
I think he's a fun character.
Yeah. Anyways, Harrison Ford's a bit old now. You know,
Yeah,
he's not as young. I mean,
you see, compared to
he's
the
60.
next movie, he's
Yeah.
better in this. However, I will
He
admit,
was 66 during this film.
okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty old.
However,
Yeah.
will say
For a
to
movie
give
like
him
this.
credit, that doesn't feel like he's still trying with the action. You can just tell, okay, he can't get as into it, but he does like.
I still think he's pretty good, although he can't do anything major. I still think
Oh no, for his
the stuff
age,
they-
definitely he's.
stuff they get him
great.
to
It's
do for the stuff they get him to do, he's really good at it still.
Yeah.
He's still got the spark at this point.
Yeah.
but
There's some
I
charm
admire
to it.
his commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I guess like. What did you guys think of Shia LaBeouf's character playing Indy's son?
Honestly, I like him. I think he's
You
a fun
do?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Wait,
I didn't.
did you guys not like him? Maybe it's because I have Bayformers brain rot now. So
Probably-
it's
probably
Sam
something
Witwicky.
like that.
Thanks for that one, Dana.
Thanks, Danis, if you're watching this. Anyways, as for this movie, I mean,
do
like,
you guys not
his
like him?
character. I don't know. Like, I genuinely like.
I don't
They
know.
establish, like, I guess a kind of a bond between him and Indy, but they don't really do anything with it. It's like kind of just. I don't know. Like, he's not like the most annoying thing ever. I mean, I don't
I don't find him
despise
annoying,
him, but like,
but
he's not like a great character by
I
any
don't know.
means.
I do kind of like the dynamic they do set up. They just don't do a lot with it, I guess, is to say.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
throw in my 2 cents about Mutt.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'm interested to hear what you think of him.
As the anti-Bay
so-
person, you have an unbiased perspective.
I fucking hate
But-
those Transformers films. But so like I've only seen this film once, but I've seen the last
Okay.
half hour on TV years ago. But this year, first time I ever watched Crystal Skull, I heard all this shit things, and people said, "Oh, Mutt Williams, Shia LaBeouf, I hate him in this film. He's so fucking annoying." And I was prepared to hate him, but I didn't hate Mutt Williams. I thought he was
No, I
fine.
think
I thought he
he's-
was. I thought
He's
he was
not a
this-
good character. I didn't despise
I
him.
think-
I think
No, I
like,
think he's
alright. Oh.
he's tolerable.
I think- They do try to do something with him where at the start of the film he establishes himself as a slacker and a loser, and he dropped out of school, and Indy's, "Oh no, you can't do that, you have to go back to, no son of mine's going to be a driver, you will go
Yeah.
back to school."
It
And
was-
over the course of the film he stops complaining and whining to his dad, and he starts to like warm up, and he starts to like get more into it, and he starts like
It's
paying
better
him
by the
more
end
attention.
as it is like the beginning.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
know. I kind of.
I do like
Hey.
though I do like the bit though where like when Indy first meets somebody, he's like, "All right, you're going down your." He like doesn't like yell at him for not having like a proper career or anything. But then the second he finds out he's his son, he's like, that's when he starts coming down on him.
You're going back to school.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I kind of like that
right,
one
but
moment.
I
mainly
find that
because, like,
fun.
there's
That's
like
fun,
one thing I
yeah.
do kind of like with that plot point. I don't think it's like that well executed, but I do like that scene where at 1 minute he's like he's fine with him not going to school, but then when he finds out it's his son, he's like, "You're going,
Yeah,
you're
that's-
getting your ass back to school." I thought that
Yeah,
was
so
kind of
that's
funny.
fun. That's
I'll
funny.
give the movie that. Okay, that's like the one thing I think they did good with that plot point. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
one
no.
thing they could have done more with it.
When I came into the film, I expected just like Sam Witwicky 2.0, and I can't fucking stand that character in the Transformers films.
Aw,
but no,
but
I
he's
don't.
fun.
No, I hate
Aw.
Sam Witwicky. He's so
He's
annoying.
better in this
But-
movie than he is in Bayformers, so I'll give the
so
guy
much.
that.
But I tolerate Shia LaBeouf in this film. He's all right in this one.
He's
That's
not-
my 2 cents
yeah.
on what
I
we're-
mean, there isn't anything like. There's some stuff that's stupid about this movie. Like, are we going to talk about the
Oh, so much.
iconic fridge scene? Like, come on, let's talk about the
Yeah.
iconic.
See, I will defend this movie in aspects. The fridge scene is when it gets a bit much, however. Like, so.
Really, that's just the first 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
The-
but I don't know. I think there are.
There
some
isn't
other set
even
pieces
much
that
of
are
a
fine.
point of that scene, if I'm being honest. Like, it just comes out of
He hides
nowhere.
in the fridge.
And then there's
Yeah,
like this
Tom-
fucking nuclear bomb. Then he comes out of the fridge alive, not even damaged. He's just.
It kind of makes sense.
Does it? Does it though?
Well, the film starts out in the middle of the desert, and they establish that they're in Area 51, and that's where he escapes from. And then he gets jetted away a couple miles away, and then he's just wandering around the desert, and he thinks he's found a town.
Mm.
Oh no, it's
I'm mainly
I will
talking
say
about
it
the
feels-
thing that doesn't make sense that that he's even fucking alive. That's what I'm talking about. That's like the
Well, I
main
can-
thing I've heard people pick up with this movie.
Oh yeah, people say, oh yeah, it's not jumping the shark, it's nuking the fridge now.
I thought that was
In terms
funny.
of-
I thought that was I thought that was ironically hilarious. That moment, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Well, it is a genuinely funny scene
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he realizes where he is. All the people are fake. There's nothing in the houses.
Then he just runs
And
away
his-
to a fridge, and then he somehow survives.
It's like a sitcom bit.
How he's like
Yeah,
frantically
well.
pulling out the shelves in the fridge and throwing everything
Just
out.
throwing everything in the fridge out, and then just crawling into it, and then he survives, and then they just cut.
camera
Yeah,
camera stays locked on the bit where it says lead lined.
Yeah,
Mm.
Marion's back.
Why will Marion's
She
back?
doesn't do too much, I guess. She
I think
She
they could.
just
I think
had-
they could have got more out of her being back than they did, but it's kind of nice to see her again. It's like,
sorta,
okay.
I guess. Yeah, there isn't inherently anything that bad with the acting, I guess.
Mm.
One scene I found
Okay.
weirdly funny for some reason is the scene where Indy and Marion are stuck in this like quicksand thing. I know it's not actually quicksand, but whatever. And then
yeah.
Mutt tries to pull them out, and then like he refuses to grab onto it because it's a snake. I don't know. I thought that was. I don't know. It's weird. This movie's weirdly entertaining despite being really goofy.
To be honest, I find this movie's not that good, but I did have a lot of fun with it, which is more than I was expecting. 'Cause I used to have this movie rated way higher, and I was like, well, it's probably not that good. What if I hated it on rewatch? But no, it's an okay movie that's kind of fun.
There's only like I guess like two things I actually like downright and dislike it. One is like the fucking Jesus Christ, the ending. The fucking alien
like
shit. No, I'm
don't like the aliens.
like what the fuck? Why in this movie? Why you do this? Like what?
I may have gone too far in a few places.
Yeah,
That's a good way.
No, I think
to
what they were
describe it.
going for, right, is because so the influence of the first ones were like 1940s serials and like action stuff. So then George was like, well, you know, if we did that,
We're gonna get aliens, you know.
No, we're gonna no, but the idea wasn't just aliens. It was like 50s like sci-fi stuff that the two of them were also nostalgic.
Cold War and all
and
that.
see, I get that. I just don't think Indiana Jones is the right place for it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
See, on
It's too far
the
in the
topic of
opposite
that,
direction.
I think as a standalone film, I think the inclusion of aliens is fine, but with the context of the last three, which are all themed around religious and mystical artifacts,
Exactly, that's my problem.
and they kind of confirm that God exists, and you throw aliens into the mega mix. It's just
And the visuals, though, like what the hell? Like we've gotten
that's not good.
this is
happened?
Exactly. This is in 2008. We should have better visuals. The visuals in Raiders of the Lost Ark, just all the first three movies, the visuals have aged well. That's because they're not too ambitious,
No,
but
they
they're limited and they look fantastic. Raiders of the Lost Ark, great visuals. The head melts, explosions, that looks great by today. I'm impressed with how well that has aged. But in this, like, what the fucking alien? There's just like all this shit. I don't know. It's like Jesus. What is this? It looks so bad.
I'll say this. I will argue back with that. I think the visual effects for the most part look fine. The bit where I just can't be fucked with them is the bit where they're driving the jeeps through the jungle, and they're just on a green screen is just going past them while Mutt and is fighting with Spalko, and it just looks so fake. Especially when he starts swinging with the monkeys, which is all just CG.
I think it's the climax. I feel like the visuals just get worse with the climax. I feel like the first movie, they're not the worst thing, but like, come on, what happened here? You know, like even for its time, it looks terrible. Especially like what, like it's a weird movie.
Probably look good.
What about what do you guys think of the villain of the movie? Kate Blanchett, Lydia Tarr plays the villain.
I thought she was alright. Okay.
I liked it. She did a good job, you know.
To the other villain, she's not that good with it. It's all right, you know.
Nothing inherently like great about her. I guess Kate Blanchett does a good performance, I guess. But the character's fine. It's not terrible. I don't know. Like I watch this movie, I hear people sometimes like saying that it's absolutely awful, and I'm like, okay, this movie ain't good or anything. It's definitely not anything like. It's not terrible. Like I struggle. Like there isn't really anything that actively like pissed me off about it. Like I know I got a bit annoyed by the alien stuff and the visual effects, but that's like that's most of where my big issues come with. You know, the other stuff is just kind of lame.
I don't know.
Not very. Good.
As a legacy sequel, this movie has stupid stuff. However, it's not in the way where it's like character assassination. Why would Indy do this? He would never do that. There's nothing like that.
There isn't anything that inherently wrong with Indy in this movie.
I don't know. I think, no, he's all right. I think if it has anything, the characters are still strong. It's just the actual plot definitely has iffy aspects that I'm like, oh, we're doing that? Okay.
I honestly think that the first hour and a half of this film, I think is fine. I do enjoy it. I think it is good. But the last half hour, as they're going through the jungle and then they get to the temple, I think is like the weakest part of the whole
the jungle
film.
stuff I find fun, but it's kind of stupid. I'll give you that.
The freaking monkey thing, the automobile thing. There's also this guy who keeps The ants. Oh yeah, the ants.
Oh,
I forgot
the
about the
ants.
ants. The
Yeah, the
ants
ants is
thing.
another stupid looking. Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah,
What was the ants?
the ants are
I
fucking
didn't.
psychotic in this movie. Like Jesus,
I didn't mind the ants.
they're out for
I didn't mind
blood.
the ants bit.
Really? I don't
No,
know. Just
I
like
think at that point I was
I
just
didn't think it was-
desensitized to it all. I was like, "Yep, yeah, that's
yep,
what
there's
ants would do."
ants now. There's ants. There's monkeys going around, and for
Ants.
some reason the monkeys follow Shia LaBeouf because apparently monkeys love Shia LaBeouf.
Ants,
They can-
ants.
ants. And then the ants just give Indy back his hat, which I found funny.
Yeah.
It's so weird. The ants are freaking killing people. Like the scene where Kate Blanchett tries to avoid the ants. It's like they're like
And
out
the
for
Jeep gets
blood.
stuck,
Yeah,
and then the ants immediately start crowding around it and then eat everybody in it.
these are some
Yeah.
these are some
Oh,
insane
oh.
ants.
And there's the bit where she's hanging on a vine and she's climbing up it, and the ants like climb
They
on top
climb
of each other.
on.
just to
Oh
get
my
to
god!
her.
And they climb on top of each other just to reach her, and it works. It works. What the fuck are these ants? Jesus Christ! What is this movie?
Who's controlling these ants? Ant-Man?
Probably Ant-Man. Yeah, this is better than the new Ant-Man movie, which goes without
Um,
saying because that movie's terrible. No, it's better than all the Ant-Man. Actually, I don't know the whole thing.
Maybe the first one.
Yeah, but, well, it's
I
a
don't
whole
know.
thing. I don't know. Anyway, that's back to this movie. Yeah, the CG not good. Not good. The monkeys were funny. The fucking monkey scene was really dumb, but it's a weird movie. What a weird movie. Like honestly,
It's a
it's
weird
so
film.
bizarre. Like I don't like. It's like. I don't like it that much. But you know, I don't know. The ending.
It's fun.
Fine. The ending's fine, you know? Like, it's at least it's better than the ending of the next movie, which we'll talk about later. Definitely.
I really like the ending. The ending's sweet. And it
Yeah,
really
it's
just
nice.
it really highlights the fact that the Marion really is the one true love of Indy's life. Because you look at the
He's
other
the only one who wasn't like annoying or a Nazi. So
I wish they did
Yeah,
more with her in the movie, but, like, I think it's nice that
I
we
think
give
it's a,
him
yeah,
this
it's a nice
happy ending.
conclusion.
You know?
Yeah.
You get married,
I like the
he's now
bit
the dean
with,
at the school he works for.
Yeah.
You know, that's nice.
Yeah.
It's a
I
nice
like
ending, if
the-
I'm being honest.
I like the bit where Mutt tries to take the hat and then he's like, nah,
Yeah.
Oh, fuck
fuck
no.
that.
We're not
Nope.
doing
I
that.
keep
We're not
the hat.
making a fifth Indiana Jones of Shia LaBeouf. And they never did. They made a fifth one, but not with him. But we'll get to that later.
Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, he's dead. I know that should be in the spoiler territory, but like, yeah, he dies in the next movie. I know we've been spoiling for that for those who haven't seen the movie, but yeah. Anyways,
No one cares.
yeah, who cares?
No one really cares. No one's favorite character in Indiana Jones is Mutt Williams.
Yeah, I don't hate him as much as some people do. I've heard some people. I heard a lot of bad things about him, but like,
When if we look at the time this film came out, this film in 2008 was smack bang
Yeah.
right in the middle between Transformers and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen.
oh my
Oh yeah,
god,
this
it
is the Shia
was.
LaBeouf golden era. You gotta understand.
Yeah,
This is like the couple years where he was a big star. And then Bayformers ended,
disappeared.
and then he didn't do anything.
and then he got canceled for charges and allegations, but that could have been
Then
why
he
he wasn't in the
became
fifth one. So like that might have had something to do with it. So they just killed his
Yeah.
character off to completely forget about him. So
We got Mark Wahlberg instead.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm an inventor.
I'm an inventor.
He's gonna have his big break. Cade
I
Yeager.
hate that movie. Anyways,
I swear to God, Bayformers is
Unpopular
contaminated
take.
our
I think
podcast.
Cade Yeager is the
After that
best
episode.
Transformers protagonist.
really?
Just put that out.
Oh, you think he's better than LaBeouf? Okay, we're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
interesting.
I
movie's
don't
worse,
let
though.
know about this.
Oh, I'll
Yeah.
agree there. All those Transformers films get worse with each one.
Well, actually, you know what? I'll agree with you on that. Some people are there's been some Dark of the Moon propaganda going around. People, it's better
yeah.
than Revenge of the Fallen. And I'm like, no,
No.
I,
the
The
worst
Fallen's
is
more
worse.
fun.
I might lower
Yeah.
my rating for Dark of the Moon, to be honest.
Dark of the Moon is overrated, to be honest. The first two are the classics. Those like the good Bayformers movies. No, you know,
Bayformers is like Pirates of the Caribbean. Just gets worse with each one.
A lot of
Yeah.
Bayformers
Yeah,
references in this video.
Well, I mean, look, I think Bayformers like really popped off. People love it when we talk about Bayformers, so maybe
Yeah,
that's what we need to do
I
to
even
get like
released a single Optimus speech video of us remaking the Optimus
yeah,
speech.
that one hit 1K. That was good for our
Thanks for that.
standards.
Thanks, people. Thanks.
I'm
Anyways,
telling
back.
you, people love Bayformers. I swear.
Yeah, Bay hype. Maybe we'll make another Bayformers video, even though we talked about all of them. We'll find a way to bring them back. We'll find a way to bring it back. Just how
We're talking
Disney
about Bumblebee.
Yeah, yeah, we could do that. We could do that. Anyway,
Mhm.
back to this movie. Back to
Dude.
Crystal Skull, which is the main conversation. We got sidetracked for a second. Anyways, yeah, like I said, Indy being in the city with the atomic bomb from Oppenheimer going on. That was.
Oh, you know, I don't know. They said Oppenheimer, and I was like,
Oh my
I know
god,
it's an
they
actual
did.
person,
They
it's like,
did. They
Did
referenced
they?
Oppenheimer.
I
They
was
say
like,
the quote.
it's the Nolan movie.
They say it. Ah, he said it. He said the thing. They made
I am
He said it.
Oppenheimer.
He said it.
Yeah.
Destroyer of Worlds. He did the thing.
Yeah.
I
Just
clapped
the
when I
weird
saw it.
opening with the freaking with I don't know, with like Indy retrieving an alien corpse for like Martians, like interesting way to start things up and reintroduce us to this character. You also like one thing I don't think I mentioned, I forgot about, but I just remembered. There's like this, the opening scene is like I don't know, the people who are driving Indy in the trunk, like I don't know, there's like this teen car filled with teens near them, like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just felt like
I
pointing
noticed
that out.
Indy's introduction is less cool. Like you
Yeah.
don't have a big like
He's
later
just
there's a
thrown on
cool
the
bit.
floor because he's
Cool
older
bit, he's a
now.
badass. Last
But
Crusade
you-
you have the cut, and
But
then
you
this
see his
is like
silhouette
okay.
though.
Yeah,
Silhouette's cool.
Yeah,
he puts on the
eh.
hat, guys. He puts on the hat.
I remember the hat.
I remember the hat.
Eh.
I love when Indy
Remember the
puts on the
fedora.
hat. Don't you like that? Or, he uses the whip as well. Don't you love Indiana Jones? Don't you like it? Isn't it great? I love Indiana Jones, man. He's such a great character. Am I right?
But he doesn't do it just because. He does it because it's part of the story. He's got to use it to escape.
Yeah.
Where like
it's
where,
true.
where he,
Yeah.
So Crystal Skull, I will defend. This movie's not that bad. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
All right. Movie.
It's
especially
There's some worth there.
compared to the next one, which we're gonna do in a minute. It's a
yeah.
godsend. I'll be honest.
Oh yeah, definitely. Want to get into that? You guys got more
I have
Crystal
some more
Skull.
stuff to actually say, if I'm honest.
You can give
I have a couple
a
more
quick
stuff.
one.
I have
Go ahead.
the stuff with like it was like oh yeah, there's the character that who keeps betraying Indy named Mac, who keeps, I forgot to mention him, the guy who keeps betraying Indy.
I always forget about him.
Yeah, same. He like gets mad. He's like greedy and whatnot, and keeps teaming up with the main villains. So like for gold, and then it reveals that like I guess he's like a CIA agent, but then he betrays Indy again, and then he fucking dies in the end because of how greedy he is. Like that's lame. He's kind of a lame character. I feel like the movie wants me to like him and think that he's charming, but I'm sorry, I don't.
I'm indifferent to Mac's existence.
He's just
He's
there.
okay.
He's in the opening
That's
of the
like this
movie.
movie actually.
Betrays
He's
Indy.
okay.
I don't know. The action. We didn't mention like the action.
Action's fine.
It's a step down. You know, you can tell they have to limit themselves
I like some
more.
of the set pieces, but they aren't like that good.
Yeah, the Jeep
I don't
scene. What
know.
do you think of the whole
And-
Jeep scene thing with the sword fights and the back and forth with the
I
titular
think it's kind of
Crystal
silly,
Skull?
but I don't know.
I don't mind. I don't mind it. I was just taken out of it because of the CG backgrounds, and they're not actually out in a jungle doing this.
Yeah, the green screen is like bad, especially during the alien thing where the CG like gets the worst it can.
Nah, aliens are fine.
Really? Is it though? Is it really?
It's not. It's not. It's a completely digital shot. It's not like this where there's real people and jeeps going past, which just breaks your immersion. The stuff with the aliens is purely digital, which means I don't notice it as
It's
much.
still dumb, especially in like this franchise. If it's like a different adventure movie, maybe it would make more sense, but it's still like really confused, dumb. Like it would make in any other movie. I feel like the alien stuff, it would be goofy, but you know, would make more sense slightly, right? Like you said earlier,
Yeah.
right? With that, yeah.
No, because Indiana Jones, you technically could, but I just don't think you could have a different action franchise, but like I said, it just has a contrast to the previous movies that are all about so they're like more, not grounded, but this like on a more spiritual angle, like a critic said, and it's whoa, aliens. That's okay.
I
Yeah,
understand the reasoning. I think the reasoning is a good one, but I don't know. I just don't think it fits with the context.
I get why they went that route. It just
My suspension of disbelief is just broken because you kind of say that God exists in the other films, but there's also aliens who come from different dimensions,
or as they call them, extraterrestrial beings instead of just aliens, because
from a whole different dimension.
Also, also, this is gonna sound random, but I can't entirely take the alien head seriously because it looks eerily similar to this vodka that Dan Aykroyd sold.
Dan Aykroyd Skull vodka.
Yeah, so it's like so when I look at the Crystal Skull head, I'm like that's just vodka. So I can't take that seriously.
Oh
looks
my
like
God.
Anthony, I don't think you've heard of this, but look up Dan Aykroyd Crystal Skull vodka.
I know about the Dan Aykroyd Skull vodka. I just never made the connection.
Good. I just never get it. But
now I can't unsee it now. Thanks for that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna search it up now. I'm actually curious.
Yeah. It literally just looks like the alien head in this movie.
Does. It kind of does.
I thought you were about to make a South Park connection.
Oh, no, well, there is the South
skull
Park
like one of the visitors.
Did you see that scene in Indiana Jones with the refrigerator? It didn't make any sense, Stan. I remember that joke.
Yeah. You see, that's what I was quoting at the beginning for those listeners. This is the South Park episode, the China Problem, where they go literal with it. Because Matt Stone and Trey Parker hated this movie. So they were like, I felt like we were being raped. So it's like, so then they had the bright idea to go, what if we make an episode where Steven Spielberg and George Lucas literally rape the character of Indiana Jones? That's what happens in Crystal Skull.
I should watch that episode. I'm actually curious.
That was really funny, actually. The Cartman plot is him being racist. You know, it's
classic Eric Cartman.
It goes back to Temple of Doom if you think about it. Yeah, it's a great episode. But yeah, I don't know. I think I've been pointing out a lot of pop culture connections, but like Indiana Jones is such a universally referenced franchise. Yeah, so it's just pointed out in like a lot of stuff. Like there's been a lot of parodies and things that I tend to notice.
Yeah. I don't know if I have much to say. You know, I still.
I think we should wrap it up now.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say. You know. Care for much of what happens, you know. The ending is fine, even though I think they could have used Marion more. It's a nice like way. I think I can like somewhat look back at the character more fondly with like, you know, him getting married, you know, him being dean of the school, you know. It's at least a fond ending we could look back at this character for. And I do think some people over exaggerate how bad it is. Even though it is
especially with the fifth one now.
It's not a rape, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Matt.
I don't think it's as bad to the point where I would make an entire episode of a show about George Lucas and whatnot of the literally, you know, what you just said. So not very good movie at all. Like I don't have too much like bad CG, the weird incorporation of aliens, especially in this franchise. And it's like, and everything else with it, with Shia LaBeouf. Well, I tolerated his character. It's not like, not really anything I like that much. I'd give it like, in terms of rating, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10.
I'm gonna go 5 out of 10 too. I think you could talk me down into lower, but I don't even hate it. It just.
I was gonna give it a 4, but then I'm like, I don't really even hate this movie that much. Yeah. So, and there's definitely worse legacy sequels.
Watching this again, maybe not soon.
I probably won't ever watch it again. I just rewatched like Last Crusade or just any of the original trilogy. But 5 out of 10. Huge step down from the first 3, but still not awful.
Yeah, what about you, ACritic? Yeah, what are your?
All right, so I'm gonna get. See, I genuinely enjoyed the first hour and a half of this film. I think it is still really good. It's only like, for me, the last half hour is just stupid and kind of ruins it. But the very, very final end is really sweet, and I like that. And it's still like there's still an enjoyment and a passion to like make a good film. Like they do want to send Indiana Jones off with a happy ending. And you know, it's not the best film, but it is the most ambitious, and they end the character really well. So I'm gonna give Crystal Skull a Possibly very generous 6 out of 10.
Dang.
I
It's
like
not
it.
mid. Have gone over because the 6 isn't
Still,
mid.
it's the weakest one so far, but it's not horrible, especially compared to the
Next
Dial of
one,
Destiny.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Let's just get into this
Oh,
one because it is awful.
Raping Indiana Jones.
They literally did it this time. They actually. So
Hey,
when this
hey,
movie,
so-
when this movie was announced, I was like, even before I was a fan, even before I actually watched all the Indiana Jones movies, I was like, really, the guy's 80. Really, we're really gonna do this now?
So that was my main stipulation.
Just
It's
for
like,
money.
okay, look, I love Harrison Ford. He is a national treasure. However, he does not have it in him. If you thought he didn't have it in him in Crystal Skull, and who boy,
You ain't seen nothing yet.
yeah, the movie just okay. If I could, I wasn't even angry watching this movie. If I could say
I was
anything,
angry
it's
at parts. Like,
yeah, I was angry at some of the retcons. That was my
This
thing.
this was like one of my least favorite cinema experiences of like the last
If I
5
saw this in
years.
theaters, I would probably hate it because it's so boring.
it is
Oh,
fucking
I even
boring.
dressed up as Indiana Jones to see this film.
Oh yeah,
Huh. That
yeah.
actually does sound cool. I just wish it was for a good indie movie.
Yeah.
It would be-
Honestly, so Steven Spielberg, he's gone. Now we got the director of
Yeah.
Logan, which is a movie I have
See, you know
not
what?
seen.
If I can, James Magnold, and I will say, you can definitely feel he's not gone because as much as you could say anything about Crystal Skull, it is still shot like an Indiana Jones movie. It has that. It's a little. It's shot. Okay, well, it could be shot worse. I feel like
I don't know.
Spielberg does it a little better. But then you go to Dial of Destiny, and it's like, well, it's just generic like action movie lighting. What is this?
Exactly. Yeah.
Who did
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so
It's barren.
same thing for me is I like one of the things I like about Crystal Skull is that the lighting and the cinematography they use is pretty much just the same as the first 3. In Dial of
Yeah.
Destiny, it's just digital generic piss filter nonsense.
Mhm.
I don't know.
It doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah, let's talk about the
Oh.
opening, since a lot of people
Especially
say
with
that
the opening. The opening doesn't have the Paramount logo.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was gonna
mountain
mention
gag.
that. It doesn't fade into a mountain. That's how you know it's not a real Indiana Jones
All
movie.
four,
Yeah.
even all 4 of them got the mountain bit. No Dial
Yeah,
of
but this
Destiny.
one doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't fade
There's also
into anything.
de-aging, which okay.
Uh,
De-aging's fine when he's like sitting still, but when they're doing like action, you can tell it's like that's
Also,
not him.
many people have said this, but seeing a young Indiana Jones with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford's voice is just weird, right?
Yeah,
come
it
on.
is.
It is so weird. Like the de-aging doesn't look awful. It looks a little weird at times, but like it's just the voice
I
that
think
puts me off.
It looks fucking rubbery, and it doesn't help that the voice is
Yeah, the
not
voice
his.
definitely makes it worse. And like a lot of people say the opening is like the best part of the movie. And while it's like the least bad part of it, it's still not really good. Like
What
I
is
still
maybe by technicality, it's the best one.
yeah,
Yeah.
it goes on for a long time. A bit too long, some people might say, because of the
Yeah.
undercooked plot. But then like the lighting on the train, like the way it's all filmed, it's like, come on, we've gotten better action scenes in this franchise, Like much, much better.
Yeah.
Like much more betterly filmed, some more
I
shots.
can tell they are now in the countryside. They're on a green screen,
Yeah, exactly.
and
It's
you gotta hide
obvious.
you gotta hide the de-aging. So we
Doesn't
gotta make the
feel
whole thing set at
authentic.
night.
The other ones do.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
Yeah, and also like in King Skull, since Indy's older, they gotta limit the action scenes a bit more, which is like why the action in this movie is even more forgettable. At least King of Crystal Skull had its moments of like fine, interesting, goofy action, but this movie has pretty plain and lame ones, if I'm being completely honest.
I don't even
Yeah,
think he does anything in most of them.
No, I don't know.
Most of it, he's
He
just like
rides a
sort of
motorcycle at one point.
he rides the
So-
horse.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. See, I don't blame Harrison for this. I can only assume they were like, all right, we're going to give you a stack load of money. Do this one more time and we'll leave you alone. It's probably what happens with,
I'll
like-
do it one more fucking time.
Yeah, it's probably
Go back
what it
to
was.
time, my
Like,
plane.
Yeah.
yeah, probably what he is with like Han now. I'm willing to bet with this movie. He's like, all right, there's one more time.
Well, there's the difference there is that he said in interviews that he hates playing Han Solo, but he really genuinely likes playing Indiana Jones, and
no,
he
I
said
don't deny
that.
that he likes playing him. I just don't feel like for this one, he's kind of out of it, but I don't think that's him not trying. It just he can't anymore.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
The way they
Sucks.
introduce old Indy is that he grabs a baseball bat and then goes to his teen neighbor's door and starts yelling at him. What do you think of that?
Turn that down. That's not real music.
Oh, you know, the first thing when they cut to the
Snapper.
present, it's so. For some reason, this movie is obsessed with painting Indiana Jones as this pathetic, sad individual.
Oh, it's
in real
sad.
life. For some reason,
Oh
like,
my
okay,
Let's talk about the
God.
because of
retconning.
legacy sequels, obsessions with making their character he's like Null's character like he's in a rut now. He sucks. Luke, he sucks now. Han, he sucks
Han
now.
Solo.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
which
did the
I guess
Han
this happened
Solo
to Harrison
thing.
Ford twice now.
Poor guy.
But yeah. But anyway, we're gonna talk about the retcons, right? So
Yeah.
I was wondering, especially one of the first things, I was like, what are they gonna do about Sam Witwicky? How is he gonna be
He's
in?
dead.
Turns out he died. Yeah, he died.
He
off
died in the
screen.
war. Like,
Oh,
what?
scream.
Why would he enter
First
the
of all,
war?
okay.
Why?
See, I think I don't know. I guess the only thing I can come up with is it's kind of like what Disney was like when they did the sequel trilogy, where they're like, well, people don't like the prequels, so we're not going to acknowledge them. But now people think the prequels are good. What the fuck happened? So they'll put like shit in Kenobi or whatever. But like when the sequel trilogy was coming out, they were like, all right, we have to hide this. The only thing I can assume is with Dial of Destiny, they're being like that, where they're like, well, you know, people didn't like Crystal Skull. Like, just pretend that it didn't happen, so we're going to ignore it. Which is stupid because, I don't know, they could have made Mutt better, or they could have just used him again. That would have been cool. But no,
It
he's
would
dead.
make more sense than bringing back
Any-
Indy again as an 80-year-old man.
Well, and also this has an unironic similarity to Ted 2, where there's an off-screen divorce.
Oh god,
So-
yeah, you're right. No.
Yeah.
Oh god, you're right. I hate what. Yeah, and like, yeah. So Marion left Indy because Indy became so depressed, and like, what the fuck, man? Really? That's what you're gonna do with him? Like,
Yeah.
honestly, why do that? Why just undo the
And
ending?
he didn't comfort her at all during the divorce because he was miserable. No, when he was dying and they were grieving, and he didn't comfort her at all. So he's like, "I'm getting a divorce," and he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh."
I know it's yeah.
Just flimsy reason. Like,
Yeah, the movie
why
doesn't
would they
even
do
do anything that interesting with this. They just like address it. They just kind of say that's what happened, and they don't even really like talk about it or do anything interesting with it. Instead, Indy's
In general, the whole film doesn't add anything to the series. It just takes away.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Yeah.
The movie
You know,
is
Crystal Skull all you want, but that film like ended good. It added something. It got him married. He got
this
to
is
be.
we remember the aliens in Kingdom of the
If
Crystal
anything-
Skull.
Yeah, that movie's memorable. See, I made a joke in my Letterboxd review saying, in many ways, this is Evil Dead Rise, because I ironically say Evil Dead Rise is nothing. But if we're talking about this movie, it kind of is nothing. Like, what is everything
It's
that
so
Crystal
fucking
Skull
boring.
adds? This movie
Even-
retracts.
Here's
And, like,
what
okay.
I'll say about this one is that people will not, in the years to come, people will not go to this film to dunk on it at all because people have forgotten about it. People will still continue to dunk on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
People remember
I don't-
the aliens and
Yeah,
mud
exactly,
from
exactly,
Bayformers.
because they remember it. No one's going to
Yeah.
be dunking on this in the next few years, except for people like us.
Yeah,
General
exactly.
public will continue to
Exactly.
throw shit
Okay.
at Crystal Skull.
Right.
Yeah, and
For
unlike
example-
Crystal Skull, I'd say this movie damages Indy's character. Unlike
It really
Yeah,
does.
he's just
It so does.
depressing now.
Yeah,
Like,
not to
why
mention-
would you do that?
there's this line, the one thing that actually just annoyed me and was just really stupid to me. He says this line about him seeing shit. He says he doesn't believe in magic because the MacGuffin is like the dial that can change. It's like time travel, basically, which we'll get to later. It's a whole thing. But then in that
Oh,
like
man.
part of it, like he says he doesn't believe in magic, but dude, been tortured by a voodoo. You've seen fucking aliens, and you don't believe in magic. You've seen people
Yeah,
die,
is
blow
that what his
faces.
line
That line doesn't make any sense. He says something that I've seen a lot of things they can't explain, but it's not how much you believe. It's how hard you believe in it. Something like that. And then he says like that. What does that even fucking mean? That is bullshit.
Exactly.
That's fucking bullshit.
It's so
And it's
stupid.
such a stupid line. It makes no sense. It basically ruins
It
like
is.
his character. It's so dumb.
Mhm.
I just hate it. It's
Oh,
it's such a
I
stupid,
hate it.
and that's
Oh,
like
and by the way, yeah,
Go ahead.
sorry, are you saying something?
yeah. What I was
No,
saying
you keep going. I'll say my thing after.
what I was saying is
Yeah.
that like so instead they just like instead so Indy is now grouped with these two characters. He's grouped with this
Oh, I was gonna mention them. See,
he's grouped with this girl named Helena. I think that's her name.
Helena!
I think
Yeah,
to be honest, I blanked on the other kid's name. What is it?
I think his
I
name is
forget.
Teddy. I
Good
think
value short round.
yeah, not to mention,
Oh,
speaking of short
yeah.
round, one thing I noticed, and I know ACritic, you brought it up in your review, but
Yeah.
in the scene, the kid in the movie, Discount Short Round, he has the same backstory as Short Round, but they
Where'd
don't.
he come from? Oh, well, I caught him trying to steal my purse, and then I slammed his head in a car door, and he's been with me ever since.
Exactly.
And I was like, that's short round.
just meant that
But
would
they
have been.
don't make the connection at all, though.
Come on, that would have been
It-
such a good
See, if you're gonna
opportunity
do
to
that, you
reference
could
him.
have just brought back Short Round. People like Temple of Doom now. You could have.
Yeah, at the time
Not
he
even-
he won an Oscar now. The actor who
Ki
played him, he
Kwan
won.
was like a big thing.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
a
and
perfect
even
Take
chance.
before
one of the
that, it just
reshoots
doesn't-
and put him in the film, but you
Yeah,
don't.
I would
Yeah,
have
they
given
could have
this
done
movie
that,
an
but they
extra
didn't.
point if Short Round like appeared at least
Yeah.
once. I swear.
By the way,
I guarantee you, even if this film is dog shit, but in the trailer they showed that Ki Kwan was going to be in it as short round, I bet they would have made more of their money back because people would
yeah.
have gone to see him.
Yeah.
but it didn't make any bump. Which,
Oh,
by
yeah,
the way,
this
that's
movie
just
bombed
so-
hard.
Yeah. By the way,
Mhm.
I think that's hilarious. Because think about it. Indiana Jones, one of the biggest blockbuster franchises ever. Last Crusade was famously a part of the summer of 1989, which, if you don't know, was one of the biggest summer blockbuster summers ever. There was that, Batman 89, Ghostbusters, just a ton of movies, which caused shit like UHF to bomb. Point is, it was really big. And now, in the modern day, Indiana Jones, what was once one of the world's biggest franchises, has now been bombing and losing to fucking Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Well, that's because
like-
Barbie and Oppenheimer, there was like hype built. People wanted to see those films. Nobody wants.
Yeah, I could say whatever you
see-
want about
No one
Barbie.
wants
Nobody
to see
wants to
Saw
see
X or
Indiana
Paw
Jones.
Patrol 2. No one wants to see those shit.
we don't have to talk. We don't have to talk about Saw Patrol again.
I mean,
Yeah, I know. I
again,
just
again,
wanna
nobody
say
wants
that.
to see another Saw film either because they're just stupid
Yeah.
at this point.
See, that just—it's so sad, right? Like, you'd think for such a big franchise it would get nothing more, but no one cares about Indiana Jones anymore.
Yeah,
At least these
it's
new
also
movies.
bad timing because the movie came out in like a month where we got a bunch of modern blockbusters, and that's why.
That's
Oh,
Mission
they-
Impossible 7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only one.
2023 has been like the year of movies bombing. I tend to notice
I
we've
know.
had so many bombs recently.
Yeah, especially the
Yeah.
Flash, which bombed so hard that they took it out of theaters early. Like it was so embarrassing.
Bombed harder than Ezra's career.
Nah, it bombed
Well
harder than the
done,
bomb
Tit.
from Oppenheimer.
To
Yeah, that. And
become Indiana Jones.
yeah, and in this
Career
movie,
of
it
one.
did bomb. This movie also bombed. You know, like it had a high budget, like a $300 million budget. That's not even
300
including
million.
the 300 million. Yeah, yeah, and not that's not even
Oh.
including.
Where did the money go?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the hell the money goes.
Well,
Probably,
I'm not
like-
even saying that in a demeaning way. Like, there's barely any huge action in this movie. Where is it all coming from?
It
What?
went all in Harrison Ford's pocket.
Yeah, that's why.
Actually, no,
They needed to pay him a
Sorry.
lot just to get him back. Like they were begging him probably or something like that.
I don't know. There might be some money laundering going on somewhere. Somebody's pocketing on the sly somewhere.
Simply.
Should have called this Indiana Jones and the Dial of Harrison's retirement.
Yeah.
home.
300 million.
Oh,
That's not
boy.
even including the other 300 million. I mean, because usually budget,
Yeah.
and, like marketing and stuff like that. You know, this movie cost a lot of money, more money than it probably should have. So
Would
like,
you guys like to know
Definitely.
would you guys like to know the budget for Raiders of the Lost Ark? Because I looked this up after I watched the fifth
Okay.
film and then I watched the fourth.
Actually, I'm
film.
curious.
Yeah.
What is it?
The budget was roughly $20 million for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
oh, wow,
Uh,
damn.
20 million.
Oh.
Look
that
at what
looks
they
way
do in
better
Raiders.
than this on like triple, a bunch higher.
This is movies
the
now.
hell?
It's like, where does this money go? This happens. Same with frickin' Ant-Man 3. That movie looks like shit. Like, where did that money go? Stop wasting money on poor visuals, you know? Pay your workers. Be nice to
Yeah,
your visual
hold on.
effects artists. Like,
Yeah.
just run a good business, Disney, okay? I'm talking
Yeah.
to you. Anyways,
Oh yeah. By the way, I don't know about you guys, but that depressed me seeing the Disney logo in front of Indiana Jones. I was like, ugh. I tugged my
hate that.
collar. I was
Yeah, I guess
like, oh.
back to the movie. Yeah, it's boring. I don't care for the female character. I thought she was
I
kind
don't
of
care about the
lame.
other new
Hello!
character. She's so lame.
Kind
Like
of a
He's the
compared.
yeah.
Look. If you guys thought that Mutt was bad, then Jesus, these other guys are like, who cares?
Yeah.
Not
This-
fun. Don't
All
even
she
stand
does
out.
the entire film is just take the piss out of him for the whole film, and just moans and complains that she's got to put up with him. But then at the end of the
Exactly.
film, she somehow suddenly cares for him all of a sudden, even though she has done nothing but be mean to him the whole film.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh my
It's so
god. And then
stupid.
there's discount short round, like we said. It's like this kid is lame. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about him.
Kid
Okay?
sucks.
We get
Short Round has an inherently charming quality to him because Kehi Kwan does a really good job playing him.
He's
Exactly.
delightful. He's
Kid,
got
he
great,
doesn't have
great
it.
back and forth with Harrison Ford and Temple of Doom, and he's just rootable. He's lovable. This
Yeah,
guy.
but this guy, I don't.
Short round
I
without
hate him.
anything.
He sucks.
Anything that character had going for it, just this character just doesn't have that at all. It's so lame. And then
Might be
there's-
something because I thought about it. Maybe it's because this kid is older than Short Round was because Short Round's a little younger. Is that it, or is it just because he's just an unlikable character? I don't know.
It could be. I think it's a mix of both. It's like
Yeah.
a bit of both.
I don't know. Also, there's the villain who is just a Nazi. He's boring. I don't know. I don't care for him. There's a scene in the opening. Just gotta bring that up before you. Then you get. I just want to bring this up quickly. But there's a scene in the opening when he gets like banged on this giant pipe, and then you think I know many people have pointed this out. You think he'd come back with some head damage or something, but he's fine.
He's fine.
What?
Doing great.
It's like Home Alone shit, I swear. He gets banged on, like, you'd think there'd at least be, like, a mark on his head or something. But no.
But in Home Alone 2, you can see Harry still has the scar.
Exactly, yeah. Even Home Alone, a film
film
that doesn't make any sense logistically a lot of the time.
What? That Home Alone makes
areas.
sense. What are you talking
I mean,
about?
some parts
Oh,
of it
well,
doesn't. I mean, some parts.
Okay, I was always more of a Home Alone 2 kid personally.
I mean, like, Home Alone...
Look, Home Alone 2 has the brick bit. Come on.
Yeah, that's true.
Come
I mean,
on.
Home Alone 2,
The
like,
brick scene.
you know, I mean, I'm talking...
Home Alone 2 doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm mainly talking about the sequel, but like even in that movie, that has a lot of things that just don't make sense. Like at least has that detail. Like come on, it's stupid. Anyways, his character, the Nazi guy, is just lame. You know, he's just like none of the charm that the villains of the other movies had. Even Kate Blanchett, who wasn't a villain, I thought was amazing. At least worked better with a performance. This guy's just lame. Okay. Should we talk about the climax? What do you think of that?
We'll get to that in a minute. I think there's a few more things we want to talk about.
All right.
Yeah, we'll get to the time travel. What I wanted to say about Mads Mikkelsen as a villain is that I think he was good. His performance is good, but there's just nothing. There's just nothing to him.
Exactly.
Not a lot to him.
Yeah.
I don't mind. You know, go ahead.
He wants to go back in time and
good.
kill Hitler and then take his position. And
Yeah.
that's his motivation, I guess. And it's like nothing interesting is done with it because they go back to the wrong time period in the climax with the dial. So yeah.
I honestly
already,
thought when
I
they went
think
back in
time
time, the film was
travel
gonna go on
is-
for another hour.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
See, already, I think that time travel is stretching it because, like, well, okay, aliens were one thing, but time travel, it's like, all right, just
Time
make
travel
a
is what happens when
sci-fi,
you run out of all good ideas.
just make a sci-fi Indiana Jones at this rate. Like, come on.
What I'll say about
Indiana
this is
Jones
that-
in space.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because they bring up the moon landing as like a thing at the
Oh
start
yeah,
of the film.
yeah.
And you would
The main
think-
villain
I
helped
was
with that.
thinking maybe it would come up because the whole thing is set around the time when the first moon landing, and you would think, oh, maybe Indiana Jones is going to go into space to time
If the
travel.
leprechaun
That
could go
never
to
gets brought up
space,
again.
so could Indiana
Honestly,
Jones.
I would prefer something like that because they would be blatantly stupid and not trying to like hide it.
Yeah,
Sure.
Like,
maybe do something
Yeah,
self-aware and
but-
funny with it. I don't know.
yeah, but I don't know.
But,
Even
like-
if the problem is, it's not even just that it's time travel. The problem is that it's not even, they don't even do it for anything creative or anything. If you're gonna be
They just
not
stupid,
even
at
like
least
create
make
this
it.
time loop thing.
If
Basically,
you're gonna
the
make it
guy had
stupid, at
the
least make it entertaining. But no, they
yeah.
do nothing with it.
It's not
Did
even
Evil
a,
Dead
like
Rise with it.
a homage to anything, because the first three are references to the old adventure serials of the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Fourth one is 1950s sci-fi films and stuff.
Yeah.
Was the fifth one?
I
don't know.
That series didn't even have anything like that because, well, Spielberg and Lucas were all far gone by this point.
Yeah, they didn't want to do another one. They did originally want to do a fifth one, but they said, well, Steven, do you have any ideas? He's like, no, I don't, George. Oh, okay, well, I guess we won't
Gotta
do
make
any more Indiana Joneses.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
And then that happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. So looking for the letterbox, apparently George and Steven have executive producer subscriptions, but that doesn't mean anything.
That doesn't mean nothing.
Are we going to talk about the ending?
Oh, this is Rich. George Lucas is credited as the original writer for Dial of Destiny. This is like series creation. That's fucking
you
great.
took my first draft. Oh no.
Yeah, George,
I shouldn't have seen the day of light. What'd you do that for?
Did they give Lucasfilm back to George?
I want to talk about the ending quickly.
All right,
so basically, Indy thinks of the idea of staying back in the old times, and I'm all like, on paper, it's a weird ending to his character, but like it's better than what they actually do. Okay, basically, for some reason, Helena knocks him out, and then he's just back in the present, even though he wanted to stay in time travel. So they in the past, like why, like it doesn't even make sense why she all of a sudden cares so much about him. Like what?
Yeah.
She was mean to him the whole movie. Yeah. Like what? It's so rushed. And then Marion randomly shows up, and then like,
oh no, she brought him. She brought Marion.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Also, Sala's here, the guy from the first movie. He just kind of helps
Indiana Jones says the 80-year-old frail John Rhys Davis. I was like, oh god,
he doesn't give anyone hell though. So.
Oh.
It's just lame. This movie is so boring. I wish I could say more, but the entire middle chunk is so slow. It feels like barely anything happened. Like, I don't know.
I don't remember anything.
I remember this thing with like the girl thinking of this like plan of like tricking the bad guys to go to this like other place, I guess, but it doesn't work, so they just end up following him, and then they just randomly appear. So like, okay,
yeah,
it's weird.
Oh, there's that bit. After they escape from them, and she's like, "Oh yeah, that was so cool! Like I can't believe I had spotted them. I'm so smart." And then Indy says, "Helena, shut the fuck up! My friends just died." And she's like, "Oh, okay, but anyway, let's look at this." And I'm like, "Well, what? You?"
This movie sucks.
It really does.
It's so bad. I'm genuinely surprised.
Antonio Banderas.
Oh yeah, yes. That's the only good thing. He was there for like a couple minutes. He was on the boat. I forgot.
Oh yeah.
I wish he was in the movie more.
Wow. That was him.
He's like the one thing I like. That's it.
Wow.
We got an old friend. He knows a thing or two about boats.
First. Oh.
Yeah, that's his.
I wish they gave him better material.
I've never even heard of this guy
before. He has something.
He's there. Then he dies. By the way, he dies like a couple minutes. Like he gets shot, and he just lets him die. Like, wow.
He couldn't do anything about it. He would have gotten shot
I guess
as well.
That's true. But like, yeah, it's funny. He just watches him die though. That's sad. I mean, he had no choice, but still. And then right after he dies, the girl's all like, I'll give you a fake map message, even though Indy could have easily done the same thing. But whatever.
Yeah. Well.
Whatever. Also, one random thing I thought was weird. Correct me if I'm wrong. I could have been so bored that I didn't even notice it, was just not paying attention. But there's a scene where the girl goes to Morocco, right? And then the bad guys just randomly show up there. I don't even know why they knew that she was gonna be there. I don't know how they knew she was gonna be there. I understand how Indy knows that she's gonna be there since Sala told him. But like, what? I just put that in my notes for some reason because I was confused by that when I first watched it. I was like, what? They just teleported or something like that. Where did they come from?
Do you remember the CIA characters who were there in like the beginning, and then they just never show up again?
Yeah. One of them dies, I think.
CIA black woman shows up. She's like, "Hey man, you cracker, you can't be doing this. You gotta stick to our rules." And then as soon as they leave Morocco, she's like, "Man, you can't be doing that shit." And then And then he
she
dies.
dies, and then it's all the Nazi guy. And then
What
they
did
go
you
back.
do? She doesn't add anything to the story.
What was
None
the
of the
point of the-
CIA characters do.
This is
I don't
also
know.
the longest
No.
Indiana Jones movie, and God, you could feel every second of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's the longest.
Yeah, like
Too
one.
much.
like I said,
Too
when
much.
when they were going back in time, I honestly thought the film was going to go on for another hour just so they can hang around in the past.
They should have
but
done the
no.
to do something more interesting with the time travel, which this movie did nothing in. Maybe do it a bit earlier than spending so much time on this
Yeah,
meaningless journey with
it's
these
weird.
boring characters.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what? I'll like to give Crystal Skull anything. When those aliens show up, you feel those aliens showing up. And like time travel, I was like, oh, in the past now, okay. All right,
Yeah.
I guess this is the movie now. I like shrugged. I was like, okay, this is the plot. It's so. A lot of this movie didn't really faze me because, like, well, yeah, I expected this to be terrible. It was. So it wasn't even a totally painful viewing, but it really is just really, really bad. Like,
The dial doesn't even time travel, it just points you to where you have to go to time travel. Because apparently there's just rifts in time and space just in the sky.
I know, yeah.
All
And
around.
then, yeah, it's weird. You just have to time. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird MacGuffin that does nothing interesting with it. It's boring as heck. I don't know. I would have left the theater if I saw this in the theater. If I'm being honest,
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's.
I was just miserable the entire time I was just sitting there. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's so lame. I think we might just. Do you have anything else to say? You guys have? I don't know.
honestly, I think I'm good.
The ending with Marion is just a shittier version of Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it's forced. Like
They try to make it nice, but it's like, bro, you had the great ending last movie. You can't pretend that didn't happen.
They try and do a reference, a callback to Raiders of the Lost Ark, where you know the scene where he gets whacked with the mirror by Marion, and he's like, "Oh my face," and she's like, "Oh come on, it doesn't hurt that much. Where does it hurt?" And then they end up kissing. They try and do the same thing here, but it's just awkward and sad. It's just miserable and like, oh, I don't like
she's
this.
used even much less than she was in Kingdom of Crystal Skull. So that's yeah. Honestly, I can't understand anyone just thinking that this is worse than Kingdom of Crystal Skull.
Marion doesn't want to talk to me anymore.
At least Kingdom.
I don't want to talk to her anymore either.
At least that movie was interesting. This movie's boring. Really
it
boring.
is so
I wish I could say
boring.
more. I could say more, but it's not even worth it, man. Like, come on.
Indiana Jones,
Yeah.
Indy gets shot and only starts to feel the effects of it about like 20 minutes before 10 minutes before the end. He has that bullet wound for like at least half an hour, and he's still fine. He's just and then as soon as he I want to stay in the past.
Play the main
Then it
theme a
starts to
lot
hurt.
for nostalgia things. It's boring.
Remember
the
the
action is
indie theme?
tame.
See, when like the other movies play the indie theme, I'm like pumped up. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah, another Indiana Jones adventure. But I'm like, oh,
It
really?
has
Okay.
it has some
Sure.
same stuff as like Raiders and Last Crusade with the Nazis, but the movie does nothing with them at all. Like nothing.
Mhm.
It's like you said, ACritic. It's like Raiders, but if you strip like everything, you know, it's so lame. Only liked it when Antonio Banderas appeared. I guess that's like the one thing.
It just isn't fun to watch. I don't
Not at
feel
all.
any fun watching it. Like I had fun with Crystal Skull. I had fun with Last Crusade, Doom, and Raiders. There's no fun to be had here.
Yeah, it's so lame.
It's just going through the motions. But you could have made it fun, but you don't want to make it fun because you made Indiana Jones miserable. But you didn't have to fucking do that.
Yeah. Should we just get to our ratings? No, anything else to say?
I want to say one more thing. The
Alright.
fifth film we should have got. We should have had Indiana Jones, have him, have Mutt, and
Yeah.
Short Round, and maybe Sala going on one last bros adventure.
Oh hell yeah!
Think of
That would've been
the-
much
think of
epic.
Think of the interactions we could have had between Mutt, Short Round, and Indy.
Yeah, that's what I
and Sala.
like about
Sounds fun.
Indiana
See, that's another
Jones. These
thing.
character
They could have made this feel like a
interactions.
climactic. Yeah, that's another thing because these movies are all marketed as a big action fest, which they have great action, but really the characters are what ties everything together. Like most movies, you can't have a good movie without characters.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I think that idea you're selling is good because we could have had a nice culmination of all the other movies, But like you guys said, instead of this movie adding anything, it's like no mutt.
Or
no this,
I
no
heard
that.
I heard another possible take for this. Someone said they could have done a Last Crusade kind of thing, where instead of Indy looking for his dad, it's short round and Mutt looking for Indy because he's gone missing now, and it would have been like a neat little thing.
Literally.
Or there's also.
So what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm done.
Oh. There's also like it's not easy. It's so no, it is so easy. You could write it. It is so easy to write a better sequel than this movie. Let's be honest. There's so many other things you could have done.
5 writers.
Yeah. Instead, they just chose these bland characters who have barely any character. Like no one's gonna remember these characters, I guess.
Nope.
Indiana Jones is in his 80s now, so we have to make this before he dies, like we said earlier.
He's so frail. He looks so confused and lost and helpless in every action scene.
It's
like,
I just feel bad for him. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah, he's just thrown in on this adventure for no like real interesting reason. You know, I don't buy his relationship with the kid and the girl. It's lame. We get to ratings. Anything else?
Yeah, if you want to get to ratings, sure.
Two out
I'm
of
feeling
10.
like it. Yeah, I'm saying 2. Low 2. I didn't. Would be a 1. However, I didn't hate watching it. It was just really boring, and I didn't get anything.
Mostly, there were like the only things I was down like pissed off of is that stupid line Indy says that I mentioned earlier, and just how like.
I'm just pissed at the retcons, man.
Yeah,
but other
that
than that,
too.
I was like,
That too. There's like 2 things.
Forget
that
about
I'm
this movie
annoyed.
in the day.
Yeah,
However, it is one of the worst. It is one of the worst films we've talked about. I believe it cracked the bottom 10 on my podcast.
It is terrible,
but even still, I didn't hate it.
It's like the worst part. I do agree. The worst parts are the retcons. What about you, ACritic?
It's better than Little Mermaid and The Flash if we're talking 2023 stuff.
Oh man,
yeah, I'd say so.
I'd say The Flash was better than this. I'll be honest.
Really?
Well, James Gunn loved The Flash, so that makes sense. But
no, he's just trying to chill it because he's in charge of DC now.
Probably, yeah.
Wow, James Gunn shilling. How the tables have turned.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
That's true. Bring it back to George Lucas, classy.
What about you, ACritic?
Oh god, this 1 out of 10. There's no fun.
Fair enough.
It's a miserable time.
It was somehow worse than I thought it would be. Like I expected it to be bad, but I didn't expect it to be this boring. Like Jesus.
And fans of Indiana Jones won't like it, as you can see from this podcast. But even then, people who don't like Indiana, because my dad hates Indiana Jones. He hates all of these films, and he went to see went to see the 5th. He hates Spielberg. And he hates.
Whoa!
Hey.
I know.
That's a bold take. All right.
He hates all Indiana Jones films, and he went to see the 5th film with me, and he hated it as well. So there's not even. So it's not for people who like Indiana Jones. They won't enjoy it, and people who don't like Indiana Jones at all won't like it either. So who's this film made for?
I don't know.
I don't know. Money.
It's
made for money, but it didn't even make good money.
There is no money. No one wants to see this.
Yeah.
1 out of 10. I'm
bad
fed up with
timing. Bad everything. Fuck this movie.
Even then, people are waking up to it. People just weren't interested. No one wants to see it.
because people didn't care about this, which I will say has been very satisfying this year. Bad movies have actually not done well.
The Flash, stuff like that.
God, like I said, this year's been the year of the bombs. Like holy.
Yeah. Well, films that are actually really good have been doing well, like Across the Spider-Verse and films like that. You know,
except Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. That's kind of sad. That also lost money along with this, but that was also bad timing.
I plugged this in the last episode, but I'm gonna still say support Dead Reckoning, guys. It really needs it.
Yeah, just come on. Well, Oppenheimer and Barbie, they're making enough money. Come on, just support it.
Dead Reckoning have an elemental comeback, please?
That'd be so nice, but that would be great. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for tuning in for another episode of Campy Cast. Thank you, ACritic, for being on.
Yeah, you were a great guest.
Oh, thanks for hosting me. This was a blast.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Thanks for tuning in. It's been a pretty long episode, and see ya. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.